Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here, to those of you in person and also for those who are watching us live streaming. I will ask our board secretary to take roll to establish a quorum, and we'll get started.
Okay. Member Benitez?
Present.
President Craighead?
Here.
Member Lopez?
Present.
And Member Miller?
Here.
Student Member Frania Lopez?
Here.
And Mr. Otto is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Letitia. And now I will have our student board representative lead us in the pledge.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
For those of you present in the room, the board appreciates and supports community input at our meetings. During the meeting, there will be time for the public to comment on matters on the agenda and matters not on the agenda. For those who have not already submitted a request, we have provided forms where our board secretary is sitting, Letitia right over there. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following items. Regarding item 3.1, confidential student matters, pursuant to California Education Code 35146, the board voted to expel a student, ID number 7445, in compliance with Education Code sections 48900, subdivision M. The student will not be eligible to apply for readmission until after January 26, 2024. The board vote was 3-0 with Mr. Otto and Mr. Miller absent. In item 3.2, the board voted 3-0 with Mr. Otto and Mr. Miller absent to approve the appointment of Vicente M. Alvarez as Early Learning Center Manager. In item 3.3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the board voted 3-1 to not approve a settlement agreement in the case listed on the agenda. President Craighead voted in favor of the settlement agreement, and Mr. Otto was absent. And in item 3.4, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the board voted 3-0 with Mr. Otto and Mr. Miller absent to give legal counsel authority to settle the case listed on the agenda. Next, we will have adoption of the agenda, but before we do, I would like to move item 17.1 to follow 11.1. So whoever's making that motion, if you could include that amendment. But I need a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as amended, moving item 17.1 to follow item 11.1.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Or I should have asked actually if there were any other changes or, good, I'm glad we don't have any. Let's pretend I did that in the right order. Next we have an introduction of our student representative. We have Dario Mackay Usman from Cabrillo. So at this time, I'll have you come up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Dario Usman. I'd like to say, sorry. Can I start over? Good evening, board members. My name is Dario Usman. I'm the current ASB president at Cabrillo High School, and I'm excited to be back to talk about all the events, activities, and amazing things that have happened on campus since the last time I was here in October. This year, our school established its first BSU, Black Student Union, which has been exceptionally active and successful in uniting and representing our Black community on campus. The Cabrillo College and Career Center closed Black History Month with an HBCU Expo at Cabrillo. 3 HBCUs connected with over 400 Cabrillo students to discuss the history of HBCUs and what they have to offer for our students. In addition, we've done an excellent work with financial aid completion. As of this morning, over 90% of our seniors have completed the financial aid process. This is our highest rate on record. Our seniors are headed to some great colleges, including UCLA, Berkeley, the University of Hawaii, Cal Poly, the LA Film School, the University of Denver, the University of Oregon, and many more. In March, we had the opening of our beautifully remodeled Cabrillo Library, and it has been very lively. Ms. Tasea does a great job in making the library feel very welcoming. We've had various field trips and guest speakers through each of our pathways, our College Career Center, and RAP. Some notable field trips from each pathway were the Aerospace Engineering glider trip and tour of the Edwards Air Force Base with the CED pathway, the Long Beach Port Police and LA City Hall with our CalJ pathway, the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures and guest speakers from Lucasfilm with the SACMA pathway, and the Women in Trade Conference and Harbor Tours with the AGL pathway. In our athletics and competition teams, our newly added drone soccer team was able to place 9th in the nation at the New York Nationals with less than 2 months of practice. Our boys soccer team went to the second round in CIF for the Southern Section Boys Soccer Championship, and badminton now heads to CIF Championship this Friday after winning its 3rd Moore League title. This Friday, we had our multicultural fair, which was a huge success with student performances from our drumline, spirit squad, and dance company, PI Club, Sama Sama Club, and GSA Club. We had booths from our BSU Latinx Club and many others. Over this weekend, we had a handful of our Cabrillo Engineering and Design students help at the Buffum TLC Community Day, volunteering to make toys more accessible for special needs students. I've covered a lot of what has been happening at Cabrillo, and although the school year is close to coming to an end, we still have many activities like prom, senior movie night, grad night, senior awards night, graduation. So lots to look forward to. Tonight, Cabrillo will be having its spring concert, which will be also hosting Jordan's Jazz Band at 6 in our auditorium. As for me next year, I was accepted to Cal State Long Beach for mechanical engineering, and I've decided to attend there this fall. I would like to thank the district for allowing me the opportunity to speak again, and I would like to give a special thanks to all the teachers that I've had from K through 12th in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you.
Well done, Dario, well done.
Thank you.
Very nice touch acknowledging your teachers, and also that you included where you're going next year, because you know we're going to ask you about that.
Yes.
So now I don't know what we're going to ask you. Colleagues, any questions? No? Well, yes.
Go Beach, Castellan Beach.
Well, that's that. Thank
Dario,
you so
I see
much
you
for
have your
being here.
family here, who you are often
Ooh.
together. Would you like to introduce your family?
I have my mother, father, and my little brother here. And I also have my ASB director and principal.
Wow. And I believe we need to do a picture. So I'm going to have you come up here. You can have your family come up here too if you'd like, and we'll go ahead and take some pictures. Okay. So Dario and family, you're welcome to join us for the rest of the meeting, or you can go and celebrate. Yeah. But thank you for being here. Next we have our recognition of retirees, or, yes, okay. So as I call your name, I'm going to have you come to the podium, and then I'm going to read a little bit about your accomplishments, and then we'll have you walk around. Everybody gets to shake your hand, and then you have a couple minutes at the podium. That's the idea. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so first I'm going to ask Miss Laura Tanner to the podium.
Hi.
Hi, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, we want to acknowledge you for your 21 years of service, Long Beach Unified, fabulous. You are retiring as a literacy intervention teacher at Powell. Wonderful. You are being praised for dedicating many years to teaching children how to read, tutoring students after school, and using data as the anchor for instruction, resulting in fantastic results over the years, remaining passionate about teaching and helping children, and serving as an expert in the room when one wants to learn how to teach foundational reading skills. So, I don't have the certificates, but we will make sure you have a certificate.
Awesome.
But now is the time I'll have you come around. We're going to shake your hands, and then you'll have an opportunity at the podium.
So I get to talk?
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. I am beyond delighted to be here tonight and have the opportunity to thank the many people who have added such richness to my teaching career. But first, I want to start first by thanking my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the passion and the purpose to teach. I remember the end of the first day of student teaching. When the students were gone and the classroom was quiet, I got the most overwhelming sense of peace and a belief that the classroom was where I belonged. That belief never left. If I could give one piece of advice to the teachers out there, when you are struggling with something in the classroom, ask God for wisdom, and you will be amazed by the creative ideas that come to your mind. Next, I have to thank my husband, Jack, for always supporting me, especially when I spent way too much money on the classroom or spoke endlessly about the ridiculous amount of assessments I had to do. I also have to thank my son, Keith, for giving me a whole new perspective on kids through looking at my students through a mother's heart. My pre-teaching career started out rough. My mentor teacher during my student teaching told me I would never get a job because of my speech impediment. Later that same year, the principal who hired me told me, far from being a detriment, my disability would serve as an inspiration to students struggling with other challenges. His positive perspective on my challenge profoundly affected my life and how I viewed myself. I have to thank Dr. Cheryl Ward, who was my first principal in Long Beach and a true instructional leader. She knew every grade level curriculum standard and personified the person who walked the walk. She demanded excellence from herself, her staff, and her students. She supported the teacher's visions if the teacher had a sound rationale for how that vision supported student growth. Her commitment to applying data analysis to drive our instruction was rigorous, but our students excelled because of it. Wendy Thompson was another administrator who positively influenced my teaching career. She had phenomenal professional developments, which always included walk away, ready to go lesson plans. You know how teachers love that. She probably would have made a killing on Teachers Pay Teachers. Dr. Wilma Ferguson brightened every day, every time I saw her smiling face. Her upbeat, can-do attitude infused the staff with hope and positivity. A room felt brighter when she entered it, and the quiches she made for the staff events still make my mouth water. Winnie Claflin was hands down the most gracious and giving principal I have ever known. She gave every student, every staff member the benefit of a doubt, and in her presence, I felt valued and appreciated. I have to give a shout out to the Academy. They know who they are, and with their love, laughter, and support, a certain nursery rhyme gained a whole new meaning, and to this day, that song brings back the most memorable of memories. Thank you, Long Beach Unified, for giving me the opportunity to teach these precious children. And please indulge me as I ask people in the room for some active participation. This is how I like to end my classes. So if you would, and I know you don't usually do this, but if you would be so kind just to reach your arms out like this, give yourself a big hug, and say, I am amazing, I am loved, I am enough. Thank you, and God bless.
Also, Ms. Turner, did you mention which nursery rhyme that was?
No. It's an inside joke.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, next we'd like to recognize Mr. Lester Wolf. So, Mr. Wolf, you have enjoyed 32 years of service with Long Beach Unified School District. You're retiring as a math, English, and PE teacher at Hamilton Middle School. You are being praised for your supportive, positive behavior to ensure a climate where all students can learn, demonstrating professional integrity and collaborating with colleagues on instructional strategies to support students, continually reflecting on teaching practices and working closely with students during coaching to teach the importance of being a scholar athlete. And we will get those certificates to both of you. They might even be located as we speak, I'm not sure. So if you would come around, we'd like to shake your hand.
Good evening, thank you. I really don't have a lot prepared, but I did want to say something before I leave. I do want to thank the board and the district for allowing me a wonderful opportunity 32 years ago to come into a great situation. I always appreciated my time at Hamilton Middle School, and I love the fact that I was challenged as a teacher and I was able to accept that challenge and come through 32 years later and be able to be here in front of you. I want to thank my fellow teachers at Hamilton Middle School, including Dr. Kale, and again, for their support and for their love and for their just appreciation of being the best they can be, and all the principals that I've ever served under and the assistant principals for being very supportive. I do want to give a shout out to one special principal because she's probably the one principal that, they're all great principals, believe me, but I felt a special bond with Dr. Cynthia Terry, who the board knows is a very special person, and came to Hamilton at a great time, and came to Hamilton and just was very supportive and was like a mother to me. And I just wanted to shout her out and just wanted to give recognition to her and for all the love and support she's given me or gave me at that time. So thank you, and I appreciate everything. Appreciate it.
So we're just going to take a little bit of a break and do some photos with our retirees, and then we'll get back to business. So thank you for being here and letting us acknowledge your many years of service. You're welcome to stay. Well, we'll be with you in spirit. But thank you again. Okay.
So where do we place our orders as you guys are going to dinner? You guys,
Public hearing, where did I put that paper? Okay, I'm looking for my, got tucked away. Okay, so item 11, public hearing. So the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for the Intellectual Virtues Academy's renewal of their charter petition for up to a 7-year term. IVA was originally authorized by LBUSD in 2011, and this will be their second renewal. In order to comply with legal deadlines, the board is holding a public hearing tonight and will vote on the charter renewal at our May 17th meeting. District staff will provide recommendations on approving the charter to board members and post a report online on May 5th. Tonight's public hearing is focused on the board receiving input regarding IVA from the public, including charter school staff and parents. No action will be taken tonight. This agenda item is for information only. So I now declare the public hearing open. And it is my understanding that IVA has a brief presentation. So we have someone from the IVA board ready to make a presentation. And then we also have speakers, so we'll do that after the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. I just crossed 40, so I need reading glasses now. But my name is Ajon Jackson, and I'm very excited to be able to kick off IVA's presentation today. For the past year, I've had the privilege of serving as a member of IVA's board. I having graduated from Lafayette Elementary School, Hughes Middle School, Poly High School, CIC program, and now a proud parent of a Los Cerritos Elementary kindergartner. I want to say thank you personally to the board and to all the work that Long Beach Unified does. I am the product of your work, so thank you. It's my great privilege to now be back in my hometown serving the families and the students of my community, so thank you. In a moment, I'll pass the microphone to our founding principal, who in turn will introduce students, parents, and staff who have felt the impact of this great school. Before we get to that fun stuff, thank you for letting me bore you a bit with some of the more mundane renewal details. On March 31st, IVA staff submitted our certified renewal petition to LBUSD. Hard copies of the full petition have been provided to all board members. Pursuant to California Ed Code 46707, we are requesting authorization for a 7-year renewal term. IVA qualifies for presumptive renewal based on our impressive academic performance results on the California Schools Dashboard. In the 2 years preceding this renewal, IVA's overall as well as subgroup testing performance have exceeded the state averages in both ELA and math. Although the criteria for renewal will be met by just being 1 point higher than the state average, IVA students perform well beyond this threshold. In 2022, in both ELA and math state testing, IVA students scored between 52 and 66 points higher than the state average. This is a testament to the hard work of students, families, teachers, and staff. Beyond great test scores that qualifies IVA for renewal, the school continues to check all the boxes with regard to all 16 elements required for a charter school, as described in Ed Code 47605. As we've shown for the past 10 years, IVA has and will continue to operate an educational program that serves students and families well, is fiscally responsible, and is compliant with all required local, state, and federal guidelines. All right. Whew. Thank you sincerely for letting me bore you with some legal details. I'll now proudly hand the baton over to IVA's founding principal, Ms. Jackie Bryant. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajan. I am grateful to get these moments to celebrate our school. For the last 10 years, IVA has served over 700 families in Long Beach with a mission and vision that are compelling and meaningful and aim us toward formative growth of students and staff alike. I'll take a moment to give a little background. IVA, as you know, is a free and public school authorized by Long Beach Unified, a charter school with an innovative educational model aimed at meaningful growth in intellectual character in a thoughtful, challenging, and supportive environment. As a charter school, IVA follows state laws. We have credentialed teachers. It's always a question. Do you have credentialed teachers? We follow Common Core state standards. We do state testing. And we welcome students from across Long Beach and surrounding areas. There are not specific conditions for enrollment. IVA collects no qualifying criteria. Our students arrive at IVA from all across Long Beach, and we're proud to have one of the most diverse middle schools in the district according to eddata.org Diversity Index. With our diverse student population, IVA is one of the top performing middle schools in the district. This last year, highest scoring in ELA and second in math. And while we're proud of these results, it's not our aim. Our mission is aimed at deep and formative growth within an intellectual virtues framework. All of our decision-making is tied to this mission, including hiring and ongoing professional development. Our professional development informs the postures that we take towards students, towards our learning, towards conflict, which we view as an opportunity to grow. IVA is committed to equity, and we seek out continued learning to give students opportunities to practice the virtues of open-mindedness, curiosity, and humility. As a part of our professional development, we've partnered with CCEJ and others to deepen our commitment to trauma-informed practices, anti-racism, bias training, and restorative practices. And our belief is for the potential of growth in students. We are committed to providing an academically challenging environment with high challenge and with high support. Our curriculum is rigorous and it is accessible to students. We use consistent teaching practices and provide intervention support and differentiation for students as a regular part of our program. In addition, we have an intervention block in the school day for students that we call office hours. Students can choose to attend the office hours on their own, but then, at any time, a parent or a teacher might make it mandatory for them to attend office hours. We also provide before and after school support. We have SSTs, 504s, IEPs, and here I must celebrate our relationship with LBUSD. IVA is in our charter called a school of the district for purposes of special education. We have 3 Long Beach Unified employees that work at IVA full-time, including our RSP teacher and instructional aides. A speech therapist, school psychologist, and more visit our school on a weekly basis, and they provide amazing and excellent support for our students. We are grateful for your employees that support the students. They are well served. Long Beach Special Ed Administration is also a committed and caring team, and it is just a pleasure to work with them. At IVA, one of the things that we are excited about in the support that we give for students is our math lab and algebra lab for students who might struggle academically, especially in math. All 8th grade students at IVA take algebra, and as a result of this high challenge, high support model, we have an 88% pass rate. We serve our students well. I know that Long Beach is committed to equity and excellence, especially for our BIPOC students and students with disabilities, and we serve these students well also. Not only represented in our state test scores, but when you speak to our students, they can articulate the service. Historically, 96% of IVA promoted students move right back into Long Beach high schools. We only have 78 8th graders, so 96% of them. They return to the district, but they are prepared for and desire academic rigor. They're also prepared to know how their minds work with a desire to be active and engaged in the world with curiosity and thoughtfulness. Our students know how to be humble, to admit what they don't know, to not be afraid to ask questions. They desire to know themselves, and they desire to live well. IVA serves every year 234 families in grades 6 through 8, 78 students in each grade, 26 in each class. And we have 26 intelligent, diverse, flexible, and humble educators, including our 12 teachers, our full-time counselor, to serve the social, emotional, mental, and academic needs of our students. We are grateful over these 10 years to have practiced and grown and shifted and listened and been a part of the lives of our middle schoolers in these short and really important developmental years that we have them. This is what we want for our students and families, what we've provided for 10 years with the highest measures of satisfaction from all stakeholders, meaningful growth in a thoughtful, challenging, and supportive environment. It is my honor to introduce you to 2 of our students so they can say what the growth has been like for them. First, you'll hear from Isaac Dinkins-Jones, our 8th grade student, class of 2023. Our current parent, Ms. Danuka Ranasingher, and then from Sophia Montiel, who's currently at Milliken, a senior, class of 2019 at IVA. I can't believe how quickly time goes. We also have other parents in the room that just happen to be here. It is a joy to see our families. Our first graduating classes are juniors in college, and our students are our best representatives. So I will pass it over to Isaac.
Let's see. Hi, my name is Isaac. I'm an 8th grader at IVA. I've been here since 6th grade, all 3 years. At IVA, I've been a student leader, which is basically like leadership roles and stuff like that. We have like events that help with that. I've done most of the sports at our school. This year, it's been the first year we've had sports in a little while, so that was kind of fun. I've participated in clubs, free dress days, field trips, dances, and I've learned a lot about myself being here at IVA. IVA is a very interesting school, so if you haven't been to a smaller school, it's like kind of hard to understand it at first. But if you've been to a smaller school, it's better. But some things I've noticed at IVA is that we have like a lot smaller classes. Like there's probably only 20 something kids per class, and that helps with like more like teacher student focus, because like we also have aides that will walk around the class and help you. Like in our math class, I think I don't know her name, but we have an aide that's walking around and she'll like help you. You have to ask our algebra teacher, Miss Noble. She's happy to help you. You just gotta ask. I'm also in the math lab Miss Bryant was talking about. That is run by Miss Marsh. it helps us with, it's basically like office hours, but a class. So it's like she helps us with our math homework, like with our HOTs and stuff like that. And it helps me a lot. Another thing is we have, I already mentioned the student engagement. Ooh. Learning purposes. Going back to our sports, like I said, this has been the first first couple years since in 6th grade and 7th grade we didn't have it, but this year we did. We had boys football and girls volleyball going on at the same time, so we would ride the bus to different schools and play them. We had girls and boys basketball. I did football and basketball. We had girls in track. We had girls and boys track, which was, I didn't do that one, but I heard it was really fun for my friends that did it. We also had girls and boys soccer. I played a single game, but that was it. I scored the only goal though, so. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. So in conclusion, IVA has taught me not only me, but many others to be leaders, and it has also prepared us for the following years of high school and college. And now, one of our parents will speak.
Hi, I need to lower that. There we go. I'm glad you can see me. Well, I come to you as an advisor, as well as a parent, but as an advisor to 8 amazing middle schoolers who really have captured my heart. What I appreciate about IVA is giving people like me, a parent, the opportunity to work with these teenagers at a time when they need connection with another adult other than their parent, as we know. It gives them the opportunity to vent. It gives them the time to reflect and work in a group, in a small group. As Isaac mentioned, the smaller groups work so well in this age group, and I think in many age groups. The virtues we explore at IVA are not only imperative in an educational field, but I'm finding is paramount to living life and to adulting, so I use it on a daily basis. The social emotional aspect of what IVA offers is superior, and I just value it so much. Also, as an early childhood educator, I see the benefits of the small community, as I said, and I'm grateful to you for offering the Long Beach community a choice and the opportunity to join a school that suits their child. As we know, every child is different, every child's needs are different, and the fact that we can choose this for our children speaks volumes to the school district, so I'm grateful for that. Finally, as a parent, as a mom of a 13-year-old boy who's experienced a variety of schools, I am so grateful again to watch him thrive in an environment that has given him the confidence, taken away his anxiety, given him a love for learning again, and also allowed him to advocate for himself with the collaboration of teachers as well as administrative staff. And that was without my doing, without an adult having to speak up for him, which I found out later through a teacher, so I was quite impressed that he felt comfortable enough to do that. And that is what any parent wants, for their child to be able to speak up for themselves. So with that said, I am grateful for this opportunity to speak and to come before you to show my gratitude to you as well. Thank you. With that, I will hand over to Sophia.
IVA has been a part of my family for as long as I can remember. My mom was a founding staff member, and her hard work is why IVA got its first charter. So I'm thankful to her and proud to be here now as an IVA alumnus and current senior at Millikan High School. In my years of education, I witnessed intentional emphasis on critical thinking at IVA that I haven't experienced elsewhere. I was aware that this learning process was providing me with knowledge across a vast range of subjects and training my brain to learn any lesson and solve any problem. These skills primed me for high school from the get-go. Students were shown trust and respect at IVA. We were given the freedom to start clubs, access personalized assistance during office hours, pursue our interests in advisory groups, and ask questions. IVA's faculty and staff embodied the virtues students learned. Mr. McCurry demonstrated curiosity and intellectual thoroughness when he looked into and implemented his practice of always waiting 3 seconds to move on after asking, "Any questions?" When I was in 6th grade, I asked Miss Gordon why water expands when it freezes, and she exhibited humility and courage by admitting that she didn't know. I am fortunate to have learned in an environment where authority figures lead by example. IVA's unique approach to education gave me the independence and individuality I needed to succeed in high school. Now on my way to college, I have experience with office hours and asking teachers for help, which are some of the most important resources to utilize. Some students without that experience may be hesitant to put themselves out there, but because of IVA, I will always be a learner with the courage to try. Thank you. And now I'll pass it off to Mr. McCurry.
All right, thanks, Sophia, and thank you all for your time. So I'm Ian McCurry. I've been a teacher at IVA for the past 10 years, teaching literature and composition and creative writing. One of the things that first attracted me to IVA was the emphasis that the school has placed on teachers being learners too. So part of what it means to be a good teacher is to be somebody who is curious, excited, passionate about your subject. And as a literature and composition teacher and creative writing teacher, I've been able to nurture and cultivate my love of reading and writing alongside of my students. As a teacher during professional development, we set goals, both for our students and for ourselves as thinkers and learners. Not only has this made teaching a rich and fulfilling experience for me, but it has also helped me provide my students with a chance to develop their curiosity and interest in reading and writing. I felt challenged to find new ways to help my students connect and engage with the texts we're reading and the writing projects I've given them. Being a learner myself in the classroom has also helped me make better connections with students and form relationships with my students because we can share goals, we can share experiences, we can share excitements and questions and experience the writing process together. So thank you all so much for your time here. I think our principal is going to say one final closing remark. Thank
you.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. McCurry. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate that a couple of our board members have been able to visit the school. I'm really grateful for that and for hosting this charter renewal hearing. We look forward to addressing any specific concerns with the petition as well as other questions that you have. We look forward to serving students and families in Long Beach with presumed renewal, and we just also want to say that our doors are always open, and we know that you have so much that you're doing and never want to be a problem for the district, but we're grateful for any interaction that we have with you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have some...
Mrs. Craighead, we have
Yes.
two items. One, if we could return to the student, staff, and school celebration. We have a video that Mr. Itzen has ready to return to for item 10.2. And that will be followed by the item that was moved to follow 11.1, which was 17.1.
I did miss 10.2.
It's okay.
Okay, so we'll go to 10.2, and then we'll go back to the... right. Well, I have people who would like to speak regarding the public hearing.
Okay, please finish that.
So,
Thank you.
okay. So that's what we'll do. We will finish the public hearing and then go to the part where I inadvertently skipped. Okay. So first we have, yes. I'm sorry?
The ones that you have, I think, are the ones that spoke.
Oh.
Are they separate?
No, I think,
So the
can
ones
we
that
have?
I think I public comment.
Ah. Okay. So is anybody here that didn't have an opportunity to speak for the public hearing? Yeah, sorry about that. I should be more clear. So I have a stack of forms of people who wish to speak for the public hearing on IVA.
Just us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, therein lies my confusion. Thank you. We'll get this figured out. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone from IVA, for being here and saying such wonderful things. I especially love hearing from the students, and I especially love hearing from the teacher saying that when he was brought on, that teachers were encouraged to be learners as well. I think that's key to how we teach students. So you're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting or celebrate. So we will go back to item number 10.2.
Hi, my name is Noah Kushner. I'm a senior at Wilson High School in the Performing Arts pathway. I'm on varsity track and fields. I'm executive director of YBS. I'm a part of the Student Guiding Coalition, and I'm also part of the Mayor's Task Force. I started in elementary school at Naples Bayside Academy, and from there I went to Rogers Middle School. I want to go to either UC Berkeley or University of Michigan. I want to major in nuclear physics and nuclear engineering, finding energy to not destroy our planet that we live on, and that's so important to me. I help the district leaders and show them exactly why they should have their attention on the African American community, especially in schools. Being African American in my district, especially at Naples Bayside Academy, I was one of 3 black kids at my school. But furthermore, into Wilson High School, I found a better community, especially with YBS. I've learned a lot of stuff, especially my sense of communication with adults. They want to make change, and I'm all for it. But I hope that we can bring students to the table to talk with adults, as well as district and the board, and just making ideas for how LBUSD can be better.
Well, thank you for that. It's always nice to hear positive news, especially from our students. So now we will go to 17.1 as we move that item up from the agenda. So that is the approval to name Wilson High School Rally Stage the Keith Hansen Rally Stage. Dr. Baker, did you want to?
Yes, thank you. I am just honored to recommend the approval of Wilson High School's rally stage to be named as the Keith Hansen Rally Stage. We have Dr. Carol Hansen here tonight, and among her friends are Dr. John Philpott, Keith and Noel Palmentier, and Brad Rudy, and I know she's going to introduce family as well. Keith was a familiar name and a familiar face and a familiar friend to so many of us in Long Beach Unified School District. And I love the statement in our board agenda that says, as activities director, I'm just going to call him Keith, Mr. Hansen, advocated for an area where Wilson students could showcase their talents and display their school spirit. His countless hours of coordination resulted in the building of the rally stage in 1984, where it is still an integral part of Wilson High School's activities and remains a central hub of the school. Keith's passing was a tremendous loss in our community in so many ways. And so to have Dr. Hansen here with her friends and family on this evening is a very special way to honor Keith's legacy. So please join us at the podium. I know you have several people that want to come forward to say something.
Thank you, President Craighead, Board, and Superintendent Baker, and staff and community. Thank you. I want to introduce Mr. Brad Rudy, who is a teacher at Wilson, and he just wants to talk a little bit about the people that came together to bring this forward, and then I'll say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. I'm speaking on behalf of basically a force of nature in our school district, Keith Hansen. I can honestly say I would not be here without his guidance and leadership. Keith called me in 1999, and in Keith's fashion, hey, Brad, do you want to come over and teach at Wilson? Come over and apply, and I've been a teacher of history, social studies at Wilson ever since. One of Keith's pet projects, even prior to him being a principal, was as an activities director, was to get the rally stage built. If you noticed in the last video that they just showed, there was a number of activities being performed on there. Keith, I'm not only speaking on behalf of Wilson High School as a teacher, but I'm also speaking on behalf of the Long Beach Century Club, in which I am a board member. Both of which Keith was very actively involved. Keith was not only our former principal, but he was also a past president of the Century Club, where we raised money for sports programs throughout the Long Beach School District and the Long Beach community at large. When he passed, myself, Noel Palmetier, who was a classmate of mine at Wilson, and Rogers, we put our heads together along with members of the board of the Century Club on how can we honor Keith in the most memorable and lasting way. And we felt that since the rally stage was his pet project, what better way to honor him than to name it? At his memorial, we asked that donations, in lieu of flowers, donations be made in Keith's name toward the Long Beach Century Club. We have now raised in the neighborhood of $25,000 in Keith's name, and we are going to be sharing that and using that money to benefit students throughout the district and student athletes. Also, the money in that will also be made for the plaque that will be put in place and any upgrades to the rally stage that we see necessary. But like I said, if it wasn't for Keith, I would not be here. He not only made me a high school teacher, I taught at Hoover prior to that, but he made me a high school teacher and made me a varsity coach and maybe the wrestling coach at Wilson for 7 years. One of the Keith's daily conversations with the community, he always mentioned, I built the rally stage at Wilson. Keith taught it and was administrator at many schools throughout the district, Lakewood, Jefferson. But those of us that knew him best knew, and we would be the first one to say he was a Bruin at heart. So this would be a wonderful way to honor him. Thank you.
President Craighead, members of the board, my name is John Philpott, and I too am a member of the Long Beach Century Club. I was an employee of the Long Beach Unified School District back in the 70s. I taught at Poly for 5 years and was also an activities director at Jordan High School. So talking about activities for students and having a rally stage, a place for students to gather and make a difference in their daily activities is really meaningful. I knew Keith in an additional way that Brad didn't mention. Dr. Baker and Dr. Camarino and I all serve on the LBS Financial Credit Union Board together. And Keith was a very valued member as a member of our supervisory committee. He was one of those looking after all the things that keep all of your money safe and all of your faculty members' money safe as well. So he's missed in a number of ways. He's missed by all of us. His name's going to live on, though, if you approve this item, and it's something that students will be able to learn by, and as their activities take place on this stage, he will be remembered, and it's somebody who should be remembered for all the goodness that he did for teachers and, more importantly, for students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad and John. And I would just like to say, on behalf of myself and the entire Hansen family, we express our sincere appreciation for your consideration in naming Keith Hansen Rally Stage at Wilson. The Long Beach Unified School District has been an integral part of my family for many years. I'm a Wilson grad, and Keith, believe it or not, is a Milliken grad. And tonight we have both Rams and Bruins in the house. So Keith's family went to Milliken. His brother Carl and his sister Karen, and all of the Lynn girls went to Wilson. My sister Joan and Linda, who are no longer with us, but my sister Loretta is here. We're all Wilson grads, and Keith and I met at Long Beach Unified. I worked in Long Beach the very beginning of my career, and some of you probably know, if you went to his memorial, that we fell in love at Lakewood High School. We fell in love planning student activities and supervising athletics all those late nights. And even though Keith, graduated from Milliken, he is, as Brad knows, he is a Bruin at heart. And but he did get the best thing, because he got to marry a Wilson girl, and he got to work there for most of his career. Many of his years were there. There is no doubt that Keith's favorite job was being an activities director. Many say it was being a principal, but it was being an activities director. And there's no place, and you can all see him there, standing in the Wilson Quad at the top of that rally stage with a microphone in his hand, cheering up the crowd. He in his cardinal and gold and his saddle shoes, right? You can see him, can't you? So Keith's passion and dedication to creating a spirited school culture with a space for all students to flourish has always been a part of his core values and his legacy from the very beginning of his career till his retirement, to his volunteer work in the Century Club. And I do just want to give a shout out. I am aware that the origin of the rally stage, the development, what was with Keith, but also with Ed Eveland and with the Blair family. Dr. Frank Blair and Ruth Blair provided seed money, and that's really touching to us, as my sister Loretta will know, that the Blair children and the Lynn children grew up together. Frank and my father were child health friends, even though my father attended Poly and Frank went to Wilson. So it's just fitting that something in our family is being named at Wilson High School, and that it's the rally stage. As the activities director, Keith did work to raise funds for that stage, and as everyone has said, there's been so many students and athletes and Bruins and staff who have enjoyed that stage, and we're over the moon that it will bear Keith's name. We know that there's a lot of Wilson legends and wonderful things that have been named after famous people or famous Bruins and teachers and staff at Wilson, and some of them were Keith's colleagues, like Klaus Barth and Ed Eveland and Skip Rowland and Randy Bowden, and it's so wonderful that he joins the rank of the crew of those people, because those were his colleagues and often his partners in crime, and so it's only fitting. And so much appreciation to Brad and Noel and Keith and John and Dan Gooch, who are all members of the Century Club, and thank you, Superintendent Baker and the board. We are thrilled and look forward to you passing this resolution to name this. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here and providing all that context and putting a real personal stamp on just, this this item that we're going to get into right now. So I'm going to need a motion
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor of naming the Wilson High School Rally Stage the Keith Hansen Rally Stage, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Congratulations. That passes 4-0. So, yes, that passed 4-0. We even had our student board member helping us out, which I appreciate. And we are going to move on to what's next on the agenda. Thank you for being here, but we understand if you'd rather celebrate instead of stay here with us at the meeting. Next on the agenda, we have public testimony. So we want to allow members of the public to make comments without interruption and in an appropriate manner. Please direct your comments to the chair and not to individual staff or board members. Each speaker will be provided up to 3 minutes to make their comments, and we provide a timer on the screens so that you can be aware of how much time you have remaining. And the total time for public comment will be 30 minutes. So we will start with items listed on the agenda. And I'm going to check to see how many. Okay. So we're going to need all 30 minutes to accommodate all these speakers. So first up, we have Tom Sopp.
Well, good evening. My name's Tom Sopp. I'm a Long Beach Unified School District school psychologist assigned to the Family Resource Center. I'm here today to talk about children mental wellness awareness. I want to thank you for passing the resolution that acknowledges the importance of children mental wellness. Before the COVID pandemic, youth mental health data reflected a grim picture. During the pandemic, it increased to such an alarming level that the U.S. Surgeon General issued an unprecedented general health advisory. While the pandemic may be over, the student mental health crisis continues. I can personally vouch for the growing need, evidenced by the record-breaking referrals that I receive for counseling services. This is a salient issue for the district because time and again research has shown the connection between children's mental wellness and educational progress. While the data continues to echo the mental health crisis among our children, there is good news. The research shows that the vast majority of children who receive mental health services at school. This makes sense to me. In the Every Student Succeeds Act, signed in 2015 by then President Obama, school counselors, school social workers, and school psychologists are listed as school-based mental health providers. Students have greater access to basic mental wellness and mental health services because we provide counseling to our children. In both academics and social and emotional issues, all means all. When the service is provided at school, barriers are reduced, such as cultural barriers. I contacted a parent whose student was referred to the Family Resource Center for counseling services. The parent was transparent when she said, "In my culture, mental health services is not acceptable help. I can sell this service to my family because you are a school employee. This is related to my son doing better at school. I submit to you that along with school psychologists, school social workers, and school counselors, all educators are on the front lines of promoting children's mental wellness and play a role in addressing student mental health. A green ribbon is the international symbol of mental health awareness. To promote children's mental wellness, I encourage the board members to wear a green ribbon to show educators, children, parents, and loved ones that you care about children's mental wellness.
Thank you.
And thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jose Perez.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Jose Perez, junior at Millikan High School and leader in Latinos in Action California organization. Today I am providing testimony on item 16.1 ICAP 2324. I would like to see more effective academic support for LBUSD students, but I am concerned that many services that you determine at the school level and give school sites the flexibility to build their own plans that should be focused on meeting the needs of students. Of course, with the approval of school board, my great concern is what is written in the draft LCAP, page 10, where it says that school sites are not legally required to do so. I left these questions that concern our parents and us as students. How can you demand accountability from each student? How can you measure the academic performance and success of students in each school? What planned or effective programs do you have so that students who are not reading at the level can make considerable progress? Because it is embarrassing that almost 60% are reading below their level. Please use your authority more as directing board of this Long Beach school district so that schools comply with real plans and meet the needs of students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kelly. Kelly?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Perez. I am in Latinos in Action, and I am a leader. I am also a student at Poly High School. I am a sophomore. I am providing testimony on item 16.1 LCAP 23-24. I would like to see more investment in enrichment activities that make school fun and engaging. Enrichment opportunities are very uneven and incredible across the district. There is very little understanding of the enrichment programs available at each school site and how each is funded and implemented. Therefore, I believe that accesses the effectiveness of each program centrally collects and analyzes enrollment numbers and connection to results, and produces a publicly available heat map showing where enrichment programs are concentrated. I hope you think of those thousands of students like me who cannot afford enrichment programs outside of school. Consider this a part of LCAP. Thank you for listening to the voice of the students and allowing us to speak.
Thank you. Next, we have Guillermina.
Buenas tardes, miembros de la Junta, superintendentes, Baker y personal. Mi nombre es Guillermina Cruz, miembro de Latinos in Action California y madre de un estudiante de la preparatoria de Poli. Estoy aquí para dar mis testimonios sobre el punto 16.1, el 23, 24, el CAP. Me gustaría ver un apoyo académico más efectivo para los estudiantes de este distrito, porque no es aceptable que la mayoría de los estudiantes estén por debajo de la del nivel del grado, tanto en matemática como en lecturas. En lecturas, el 50% de los estudiantes están debajo del nivel. Y no se diga en matemática, el 70% bajo el nivel. Esto realmente es vergonzoso que ustedes mismos tienen la información de los porcentajes y no se pone en acción para mejorar esto. Gracias, les agradezco su atención y nos vemos para la otra reunión.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Superintendent Baker, and staff. My name is Guillermina Cruz, member of Latinos in Action California and parent of a student at Poly High School. I am here to provide testimony on item 16.1, the 23-24 LCAP. I would like to see more effective academic support for the students of this district because it is unacceptable that the majority of the students are below grade level in math and as well as in reading. In reading, 58% of students are below grade level. And let's not mention math. It's 70% below grade level. This is really embarrassing that you yourselves have the information of the percentages and you do not take action to improve this. I appreciate your attention and see you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Next, we have Martha Cota.
Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Me da gusto estar aquí de nuevo. Va a pasar primero mi compañera Laura Íñiguez y luego Laura Mozo y sigo yo.
Buenas tardes, soy Laura Íñiguez y pertenezco a los líderes comunitarios del área de Washington. Somos 16 líderes que estamos trabajando para hacer un cambio positivo en nuestra comunidad. Trabajamos y colaboramos con más de 20 organizaciones y programas que contribuyen en nuestra comunidad. Estamos dispuestos a trabajar con las escuelas que pertenecen a nuestra comunidad para crear un impacto positivo en nuestros niños. La experiencia que hemos adquirido suma más de 125 años. Hemos realizado más de 2,000 horas de trabajo voluntario, sirviendo y ayudando al mejoramiento de la comunidad de Washington. Como líderes hemos desarrollado un plan comunitario y hemos establecido que las prioridades más importantes para nuestra comunidad son el bienestar, la salud y el crecimiento del área de Washington. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon. I am Laura Íñiguez, and I belong to the group of community leaders of the Washington neighborhood. We are 16 leaders who are working to make a positive change in our community. We work and collaborate with more than 20 organizations and programs that contribute to our community. We are willing to work with the schools that belong to our community to create a positive impact on our children. The collective experience we have acquired adds up to more than 125 years, and we have done more than 2,000 hours of volunteer work serving and supporting the betterment of the Washington community. As leaders, we have developed a community plan and have established that the most important priorities for our community are the well-being, health, and growth of the Washington area. Thank you for your time.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Laura Mozo y pertenezco al grupo de líderes comunitarios del área de Washington. Estamos aquí para compartirles las 6 prioridades creadas por medio de entrevistas y el proceso de mapeo de recursos de nuestra propia comunidad. Las prioridades son las siguientes: mejorar la educación, fortalecer el empoderamiento de la comunidad, mejorar la vivienda, disminuir la falta de vivienda, aumentar la seguridad pública e infraestructura, ampliar parques y espacios públicos, mejorar resultados de salud y salud mental. Para nuestro grupo de líderes de la comunidad de Washington, es muy importante darnos a conocer y compartir nuestras prioridades, tanto a ustedes como al alcalde y el concilio de Long con organizaciones sin fines de lucro y agencias que estén interesadas en mejorar nuestro vecindario. Como vieron, una de nuestras prioridades es mejorar la educación y sabemos que juntos podremos no solo el éxito académico de los estudiantes, sino a la vez se mejorará la calidad de vida en nuestra comunidad. Agradezco su atención.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Mozo, and I belong to the Washington Neighborhood Leaders Group. We are here to share with you the 6 priorities created through interviews and the resource mapping process in our community. The priorities are as follows: improve education, strengthen community empowerment, improve housing, decrease homelessness, increase public safety and infrastructure, expand parks and public spaces, better health and mental health outcomes. It is very important for our Washington Neighborhood Leaders Group to make our priorities known and to share them with you, as well as with the mayor and the Council of Long Beach, with nonprofits and agencies interested in improving our neighborhood. As you saw, one of our priorities is to improve education, and we know that together we can optimize not only the academic success of students, but at the same time improve the quality of life in our community. Thank you for your attention.
Buenas tardes, Superintendente Baker, miembros de la Junta Directiva y los empleados. Mi nombre es Marta Cota, miembro del Grupo de Líderes de Comunidad de Washington. Como parte de nuestro proceso, estamos estableciendo un plan enfocado en las 6 prioridades presentadas por la señora Laura Mozo. El plan que se está desarrollando es establecer metas y objetivos para cumplir con nuestras prioridades. Pero no queremos crear nuevos planes, sino respaldar, mejorar o hacer nuevas recomendaciones a los planes ya establecidos. Por lo tanto, me gustaría pedirles información sobre los planes que ya tienen para mejorar la disciplina o si ya están implementando para comprender qué resultados han logrado. Si pudieran compartir con nosotros el protocolo que el distrito utiliza para mejorar situaciones de peleas dentro de las instalaciones escolares, sería muy útil. También queremos tener datos sobre cuántas peleas ocurren por año en Washington Middle School. Y quiero hacer un paréntesis aquí. Cuando digo Washington Middle School, también queremos pues todas las escuelas. Y quiero decirles que me ha tocado ir a la corte de aquí de Long Beach por padres que tienen hijos en el distrito escolar, que han estado en peleas y están yendo a corte a los jueces. Y yo creo que es tiempo que nosotros como el distrito escolar podamos hacer algo antes que los padres lleguen a corte. Y me disculpa la intérprete que esto no está aquí. Nada más quiero hacer el paréntesis. Entonces, también queremos tener datos sobre cuántas peleas.
But the time is up. That was 6 minutes. The time is up.
Esto es lo que pasa en las escuelas que no nos escuchan. Gracias.
This is what happens at schools. We are not heard.
Next up, we have Lilia Ocampo.
Good afternoon. My name is Lilia Ocampo, and I am a parent within the district with two kids at middle school. I'm also the president of DLAC president and CAC vice president, and also a leader in the Washington Neighborhood Coalition. This afternoon I come to make a comment because I would like to see that our students in the district have enough tutoring, but not only enough tutoring, but quality tutoring. That our students have their needs and they are met where they are, not the other way. Because most often time they got tutoring at schools, but it is like general tutoring. And our students will know that according to your own data, they are especially black and brown students, like 2 or 3 grades below their actual grade. And it's imperative to help those students to get where they're supposed to be and that the tutoring that is offered to them, it is according to their own needs, not just tutoring, because, so, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Angel or Angel Garcia.
Good evening, Superintendent Baker, board members, and staff. My name is Angel Steven Garcia. I am a Latinos in Action California leader and a student at Poly High School. I am providing testimony on item 16.1, the 23 to 24 LCAP. Although LBUSD has invested millions of dollars into tutoring to support us, these investments are not effective because the time and place of tutoring are not convenient neither for us as students nor for our families. Also, the tutoring sessions are not long or tailored enough to effectively help students accelerate their learning. As a student, I don't think it's fair or appropriate for them to give tutoring during lunchtime. It's not fair for my parents are looking for tutoring in other places and charge and are not as accessible places to get to. Therefore, we recommend providing a new action in the LCAP for tutoring vouchers, and families can use flexibility to get the support students need at the time and location that works best for their schedule. Please add these recommendations to the LCAP before approval. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Kim Tabari. Okay. Then we have Jerlene Tatum.
Good evening. My name is Jerlene Tatum. I'm an LBUSD parent and also a member of the Black Student Achievement Advisory Group. I'm here to speak on LCAP 16.2, and I'm going to try to include what Kim Tabari was going to be speaking on as well. Before I speak on agenda item 16.2, I just want to say that my so thankful for the affirmation from the retiring teacher. I am amazing, I am loved, I am enough. Because after my interaction upon arriving here, I was feeling a little frustrated. And I want to just say that if there are adaptations are going to be made to the way in which the public is received when we come to these meetings, please be gentle with the community, because we are not aware of that. We are parents, public, guardian, community leaders, stakeholders, clients of the district. Please do not treat us like criminals. Nor are we aware of any last-minute changes that you've made to the process. Also, I'm going to say I am a proud former IVA parent, 3 children through IVA, 2 of them are current LBUSD students, 9th grader and 12th grader. Got to get that in there. All right. Something that I believe fits an LCAP engagement. I'm not sure when the board began telling community members to address the chair of the board. According to the policy manual, Article 1, Community Relations Governing Board Meetings, paragraph on public testimony, it says, every agenda for regular meetings shall provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the board. It repeats that 8 more times in the same policy. Never does it say, address the chair of the board. Thank you. So, LCAP, LCFF. Last Saturday was absolutely awesome at the Black Student Achievement Initiative Symposium. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Brown and Dr. Baker for staying the entire day. That really speaks to your commitment and the fact that we've made it this far since you all put Black students in the LCAP from 2021. I felt filled. Yet I have some concerns. I was looking in the 23 budget, and in the budget, or in the LCAP, I'm sorry, there are 2 goals that are addressing Black students, and one of them happens to be the A through G. I learned at the symposium on Saturday there are parents that are unaware of what that even means. And also, when can we actually have these conversations about budget and LCAP in spaces where there are Black parents? The last 2 years between Sankofa and BSAI, there has been a reluctance to have conversations about budget, funding, or academic deficiencies. So can we please make sure those are in that space? And before I forget, counselors are so very important, and a petition was signed with 550 individuals demanding an increase of school counselors, and I was asked to hand over the petition. I got 10 seconds left. Thank you. Oh, and is it 30 minutes allocated for comment, or is it 30 minutes of actual comment?
Thank you. Next, we have Mariela.
I'm shorter. Good evening, board. My name's Mariela Salgado, and I am a parent of 2 elementary-age children who haven't had dinner because I've been waiting. Sorry about that. So I'd like to share a story. This past Saturday, my morning started at 5:30 in the morning, not for work, not to care for these munchkins, but to volunteer. Volunteering for our school's annual pancake breakfast fundraiser to support our science teacher, which you all have graciously showcased on YouTube, but do not fund. We fundraise to support STEAM programming. With the help of volunteers, community partners, and small business support, we fundraise year-round to raise sufficient funds. My husband and I gladly volunteer hundreds of hours a year to support our school and our science. I'm also a business owner. I also work. I'm also a board member, and I'm part of the Long Beach Education Connection group who has spoken before me. But I often think about, now we go back to the LCAP, what about the schools that don't have parent involvement, capacity, or resources? Meanwhile, the district has passed a $1 billion budget. Next year, our school will be utilizing its social emotional funds to partially fund our science teacher. While I appreciate the funds, I'm conflicted that it is taking away from supporting our students' mental health, our counselors, and supportive aides, instead of using the funds for science. We have to choose one or the other. So I'm here today as a concerned taxpayer, a parent, an education advocate, but more importantly as a community stakeholder. As some have said, we are failing our kids. 70% of our students are below grade level in math proficiency. 70%. 58% are below the math proficiency. Our school is doing, if not, I've been told, is doing really well because we have science. We fundraise and we support our students who are right now driving me a little crazy. But nonetheless, we have enrichment programming in part because we fundraise. And I volunteer with a number of parents where I'm supposed to be in a meeting at 6:30 as well to fundraise some more for STEAM programming. I'm here today to ask, as part of Long Beach Education Connection, for dedicated funding source for school day enrichment programs. Every student deserves an enriching education, and high-need school sites that do not have PTA or parent grant writers to support from the district. I think LBUSD should make sure that high-need school sites receive funding that could dedicate toward enrichment during the school day, not after, not before. Enrichment program audit. Now, I think this is important because we want to know that things are effective. Tutoring, I just learned that's at lunch. That's penalizing our kids. Audit what works and doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you. So a couple of things I wanted to mention. I've noticed that staff have been taking notes. And then also I have a request that we have a translation because Martha Cota's last comments were in Spanish, but we didn't get to hear that in English because time ran out. So I'm requesting that we have a translation made available to us.
They have it in English. They will get it to you
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Baker, just one question about that. So will that be our practice moving forward, that we'll receive the comments made in languages other than English in English?
You can. Was the translation, she was given 6 minutes and there was not translation provided, you're saying?
Correct. There wasn't enough time for our interpreter to speak what Marta's last minute was.
Okay, well, I would pause and have the English transcript. Do you have her English transcript available to you?
I do have it, but she didn't finish reading her
Okay.
Spanish.
I see.
I don't know if that's fair to her
no.
to read
Thank
what
you
she
for-
didn't express.
Right, thank you for that. We will get you the transcript of what in its entirety.
Yeah, and just to qualify,
And we
Dr.
can.
Baker, so in the past, I've asked for this. I'm not asking for the speakers to provide the translation. I'm asking for our interpretation and,
Yes.
yeah, our
Yes, we
staff,
will
right?
get that.
I don't want to add an additional
Right.
burden for speakers.
Well said.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
understood.
you.
Thank you. Now we move to public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. We have quite a few, so we'll try and give everybody an opportunity. First, we have Dylan.
Good evening. My name is Dylan Pomerlow. I'm a parent of a first and a seventh grader in LBUSD, and I stand before you to beg for help for Riley Elementary and a seemingly neglectful principal who really doesn't care. From September to today, he has neglected so many key issues within the school and just doesn't seem to care and just sit on cruise control with the support of everyone here, apparently, seeing as the emails have gone unanswered. The district sent 2 people over, Mr. Moskowitz, and I believe it was a Miss Weber, to the school, and that was at March 16th. Nothing has changed. He's been given a chaperone, nothing else. And just to highlight some of the things that have been going on in my son's school, besides the fact that he has been bullied, over 100 kindergarten students were required to use a small enclosed playground 3 times a day where children and adults were repeatedly injured. Lack of communication with families, presence on campus is glaring. By the way, that kindergarten incident resulted in a teacher receiving a concussion, having to return to work seemingly without the support of her principal. Multiple reports of inappropriate touching in bathrooms among children. That's a big one for me. Finally, no readily available safety plan for emergency reflects current classroom arrangements or personnel. Neither families or teachers know what the emergency procedures are, let alone what rainy day drop-off and pickup is, anything with regards to just regular things going on throughout the school. I think he's done a student of the month once this year. He told me that when I asked for help for my son with regards to the bullying, he offered no solutions within the school, but as soon as I threatened homeschool and pulling my son out, he was all about it. He could help me with that, no problem. And I didn't understand that, seeing as Riley is my home school and my 7th grader graduated from there with the President's Award and all that, and esteemed. Now she is going off and killing it in Marshall and all that. And I can't say the same for my son because he doesn't have any support. I can't count how many parents I know that have emailed you. I wish there were more here to stand behind it, but I really stand for you guys to do something about Mr. Duenas because he ain't cutting it. From moving him around schools and all that, he ain't cut it anywhere you guys have put him. Madison, Adams, anything. I think at Adams it resulted in 14 teachers quitting. I just don't know what this man has to do for you guys to oust him. He ain't cut for it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Declan.
Hi, my name is Declan Joyce, and I am a proud junior of the CIC Magnet program at Poly High School. When I first stepped on campus my sophomore year, after a year of COVID, it was unlike anything I had experienced before. People were blooming everywhere. People from all different backgrounds and cultures. There were kids applying for multitudes of internships, others were getting offers from D1 schools, and there were those who were already working and paying rent. If you would have asked me at 14 what I aspired to be in my future, I would have said I wanted to be an engineer. But this quickly changed when I set foot on the Poly campus, and I met teachers and students who were working together to develop an excellent program that fosters, supports, and encourages passion. Within this environment, I discovered that I, in fact, didn't enjoy engineering. I actually wanted to go to film school. I have never experienced a place like Poly, a place that is home to so many different thriving interests: music, theater, robotics, sports, just to name a few. Poly has opened the world to me, and sure enough, in a few years' time, my life path has been completely changed for the better. Now let me ask you something. Would you want to have this opportunity? The opportunity to become whoever you wish? The magnet programs give this opportunity, and they are losing support. They need funding to attract kids from all over the district. These accelerated programs are cultural and academic sanctuaries from kids from all sorts of backgrounds. So why are we pulling the floor out from underneath them? These magnet programs explore a multitude of topics at the highest level with teachers who are dedicated to these programs. But in recent years, you've seen these dedicated teachers teaching outside of their magnet. The LBUSD has a slogan: excellence and equity, but I think you're confused. Equity isn't breaking programs down. Poly is one of the most informationally wealthy schools there is. It has won awards in almost every program from robotics to football, and that's not even mentioning our nationally renowned honors program. Poly PACE is nationally known for its excelling student body, and the reason its students do so well is because the faculty and upperclassmen work hard to create a program which will bring out the best in students from all over Long Beach. If you take a look at it, if you take a look at our school, you would probably make some assumptions of your own. The main buildings are falling apart, the bathrooms are a mess, there's trash in the hallways, and some days, not even a single bathroom is open for use. We've all heard someone say, "Oh, that school is too ghetto, it's unsafe and falling apart," but if you look at the past couple of years, there have been guns spotted at Milliken, parents protesting at the Wilson gates, and here at Poly, I've never felt more safe. The issue isn't that our school is unsafe, the issue is that we are losing funded needed to fight off these false narratives. And now I bring you back to excellence and equity. I've already established the excellence our school can produce, but what about the equity? Equity you are supposed to provide. Equity is giving more to those who have less and less to those who have more. For example, Poly's location has a bad reputation. So in order to counterbalance that, we need more help and funding to spread our true image. Doing that, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alexis.
Hi, my name is Alexis Lamb, and I am a senior at Poly in the PACE Magnet program. Next year, I'll be attending Yale University next fall, where I plan to major in global affairs. Along with being a part of the PACE Magnet program, I'm also part of the Poly Marching Unit, where I act as current drum major, and I've been drum major for the past 2 years. I was a part of the Poly Top Chamber Orchestra, where I currently act as concertmaster, as well as being the president of the Poly UNICEF Club and Speech and Debate Clubs, and being the co-secretary general of the Poly United Nations team. But, however, I have Poly PACE to thank for my accomplishments. PACE is an authentically rigorous and college preparatory magnet program for students like me who strive for a stronger and diverse high school experience. PACE's magnet program flexibility didn't conform to the Career Technical Pathway program and allowed for me to explore diverse interests that I currently have in my activities. Many of my fellow PACE classmates will be attending universities such as Yale, Princeton, Barnard, UCLA, Stanford, and UC Berkeley, just to name a few. And we couldn't have done it without the rigorous academics and variety that we were given throughout our 4 years at PACE. Recently, our Model United Nations team came back from a trip to New York where we competed at the National High School Conference, where over 600 international students debated over topics such as Soviet Union Russia to fast fashion and clothing waste. Our team came back with an overall excellence award, and not only that, but 7 of our own delegates, including myself, came back with 7 delegate excellence awards. It's evident that PACE and Poly prepare their students for success. However, it saddens me to say that there's a heavily spread misconception about Poly. The perception that Poly is unsafe, that Poly is in a bad neighborhood and only cultivates athletes, not academics. Numerous times I've heard my Stanford middle school peers ask me why I'd be attending a bad school in a bad neighborhood. The harsh misconception about Poly stems from the low-income neighborhood that surrounds the school. The evident socioeconomic and racist bias that is placed on Poly bars potential students from reaching the potential that they could be meeting at our Poly and our pathways. I can say Poly is far from the ghetto school in a bad neighborhood. It is filled with students that are hardworking, talented, kind, and intelligent, who are not only athletes, but also scholars, debaters, dancers, and artists. Our district boasts a motto of excellence and equity, but how can there be equity when there are implicit in socioeconomic and racist bias that ward students away from Poly? However, with your help, we can remedy this issue with bringing back shadow days. My year was the last year shadow days were made available to high school students to shadow high schools, and I have shadow days to thank to why I'm at Poly today. Being able to see the school for myself, feel the classes, the environment, and the student life immediately broke down my perceptions I had during my 8th grade year and why I chose to go to Poly in the first place. I hope with your help and support that bringing back shadow days, that we may lead many future Jackrabbits to may have the same experience. The success and drive I found on campus is the reason why I'm off to Yale University today, and with a guaranteed 4-year Latham & Watkins law internship, and starting immediately when I enter my freshman year at college. Thank you.
Congratulations on the Yale thing, very impressive. Next we have Bryn.
Hello, my name is Bryn Jolly. I'm a sophomore PACE student and varsity cross-country athlete. Going into high school, I had no idea what I wanted to be, so I chose to go to a magnet program in which I can make my own academic choices. I go to class with students diverse in hobbies and experiences. This helps bring point of views of completely different backgrounds together, which is crucial to a learning environment. I am here to call attention to the lack of support for magnet programs get from the school board. Often I speak to my teachers from freshman year, and they are forced to teach programs outside of PACE. This goes to show how crucial shadow days are. Poly often gets a bad rap about how ghetto or dangerous it is. I have never felt dangerous on campus. You guys took away shadow days in the name of equity, equality, but Poly doesn't have an equal playing ground. That doesn't seem equitable to me. You swear by excellence and equity, yet all I see is excellence. Tell me where the equity is. Please bring back shadow days and give more support to magnet programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Alessandra Scott.
Good afternoon. My name is Alessandra Scott. I'm an 8th grader at Stanford Middle School. I'm here to talk to you about school of choice. I have selected Long Beach Poly CIC pathway as my first choice. I met all the requirements in GPA. I also selected Poly as my second and third choice, with my fourth choice being my home school as directed. Imagine my disappointment when not getting into my first, second, or third choice. For me, it seems like there was no choice. I was put in my home school. I appealed the process on basis of SBAC and GPA. My brother is a senior at Poly PACE program, so I could not appeal on the basis of siblings. Unfortunately, online schooling did not fit my learning style. Because of the pandemic, my 6th grade year was fully online. My 7th grade year was an adjustment, and this is the first year I feel comfortable, and my grades show that. I'm so happy for all those who were unaffected by the pandemic and had a 4.0 GPA. That was not my experience, but I work hard and I love learning. With all that being said, I still met the GPA requirements for Poly CIC program. The school choice office told me they ranked students who put CIC as their first choice by GPA, then filled in with higher or lower GPAs at first. That was a big no for me in the choice office. But why did I not at least get my second or third choice? Why out of 3rd graders did I not get 8th graders did I not get my choice? I picked Poly CIC pathway because it is a rigorous pathway that also allows flexibility. I plan to go to college, and CIC will prepare me very well. I also selected Poly as a whole because I hope to be involved in musical theater, chorus, Model UN track, and softball. Poly offers me opportunities to be a well-rounded student and have the type of experience where I can thrive. Poly has been my home these last 4 years due to my brother. I've volunteered, attended many games, and been to CIF championships and etc. You have already said no to me 3 times. Please say yes. Please say that I too have a choice. Say yes to expanding Poly's CIC pathway, including me. I know I am a scholar and a champion.
Well done. I had to remind myself you're just an 8th grader as you were speaking. Next, we have Terrence Booth.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, executive staff, parents, students, guests, and other members of the LBUSD community. My name is Terrence Booth. I am a school counselor at Millikan High School and the newly elected vice president of the Teachers Association of Long Beach, in addition to being the coordinator for the School Counselors Organizing Committee. And as you have heard from my colleagues over the past few months, school counselors have seen a spike in suicides, suicidal ideations, and increased behavioral issues, and have been pleading with the executive staff and the board for your support. Board Member Lopez, at the last board meeting on April 17th, you made a very good point that the lack of time school counselors have with students has an impact on the A through G requirements and other data that was being presented. I'm not sure if you received a satisfactory answer, but as a high school counselor, I am uniquely qualified to answer that for you. Yes, the limited time that we have with our students has affected our ability to assist students in reaching their college and career goals. For example, without explanation, high school counselors' work hours were changed from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., making us the only certificated staff mandated to work these hours. We have been directed by the high school office to provide before school, nutrition, lunchtime, and after school supervision instead of meeting with students, parents, and providing essential support that would assist students in meeting their graduation and A through G requirements. This has placed an unnecessary burden on counselors because we have also been discouraged from meeting with students during instructional time. And also at the last meeting, Mr. Miller made a comment about the last meeting about how your school counselor put you on the right path, which serves as an example of how school counselors can positively impact the lives of students. School counselors are asking for the implementation of school counseling standards because none of us would send our own children to schools where the teachers didn't have standards. So why is it different for school counselors? On February 15th, I sent all board members and executive staff a copy of our report, Reimagining School Counseling in the Long Beach Unified School District. This was a 53-page report that the School Counselors Organizing Committee spent almost 2 years working on. This research is definitive, students need it, our parents want it, and counselors are ready to deliver. All we need is your support. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Chukvoma. You can help me with the pronunciation. I need help.
Chukoma. Good evening, Long Beach Board of Education. My name is Chukoma Uchebulam. I'm a sophomore at Millikan High School in the Quest pathway. And I'm a representative for my school's very own ISB. I come to you all today to speak on a matter of the utmost importance. I'm here to speak about how the availability of school counselors has affected my school. At the beginning of the school year, a handful of students were unable to talk to their counselors about switching classes and ended up being stuck and failing classes that they never wanted to take in the first place. This was a direct effect of the unavailability of many counselors. After speaking with many of my peers, I've discovered that most find it difficult to reach out to their counselors, especially in person. This difficulty is mainly due to these students not being able to find their counselors during the morning, nutrition, and lunch when they are in supervision. It's even harder to go after school because with school ending an hour later and many students having sports and a plethora of other extracurricular activities. In my own personal experience, it took me a while to access my counselor to speak about taking a dual enrollment class over the summer. It's only one day before spring break that I was able to find her and speak to her about taking these classes. Counselors have always been key to helping students succeed throughout their high school career, but with their new duties taking time away from their office duties and connecting and helping with their students, many have been falling behind. A student and counselor relationship has always been important for some more than others. Some counselors have served as second and first parents to a large number of students and even acting as role models for them to look up to. At the end of the day, the decision made for counselors to not be around during, after, and before school has negatively impacted not just a few students, but the entire student body and students, especially with parents who are not fully involved. In order to make my peers, your students, and even some of your children succeed, I want all of our students to have a better chance of success with counselors being more accessible. I'd like to thank you for giving me this time to speak on my school's behalf.
Thank you. Next, we have DeLong.
Good evening, Board of Education. My name is Delange Blackshire, and I am a senior at Millikan High School in the Compass Pathway. A little bit about me, I am going to attend Cal State Long Beach through the Long Beach Unified School District College Promise for the criminal justice major. Today, I'm here to reflect on my personal experiences with the counselors at Millikan. Although we were all robbed our first 2 years of high school due to COVID, I have been very fortunate to have close relationships with the counselors at Millikan. It was important that I connect with them all because when I can't find my own, I go to whoever's most available. They have all made it clear to me that if needed, they could help me. Whether or not I can locate them during those times is an entirely different story. Lunch, nutrition, and before school are the best times to accommodate the students. But unfortunately, most counselors are required to stand and supervise their areas during these breaks, making it impossible to have a one-on-one with them. Many occasions I have had to wait until class time to meet with a counselor, which takes away from my educational time and causes me to have to catch up for the time I missed. When I'm very desperate to talk to someone, there's been times where I have tried to leave during a class period and have been shunned away by the office staff or was not able to go at all because my teachers wouldn't send me. Regularly communicating with counselors is imperative when trying to navigate through your journey at high school, and also meeting the many, many deadlines for senior year, which overall paved the way for higher learning such as college and trade school. Being able to connect with the counselors has given me so much guidance, especially this year. But finding them usually consists of running all over campus from rooms to different areas and asking multiple CSAs to radio them. This process can be draining, especially when having a time crunch. And most students who are not as persistent as me might give up and not receive the help that they need. On behalf of all students at Millikan, I'm requesting that counselors would be more available during the times that we need them, and that their supervision duties would be during less demanding times, finding others to fill in during lunch and nutrition and in the morning. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next, we have Crystal.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Baker, and executive staff. My name is Crystal Jones Duncan. I am a single mom raising 3 beautiful, smart daughters in LBUSD. I am here to speak about my concerns regarding my daughters lacking adequate access to their school counselors in hope of changing for the future students. I have triplets. Yes, triplets. Crystal, Chrislyn, and Kristen. Kristen, Crystal, and Chrislyn. All college-bound seniors at Millikan High School, who are all in 3 different pathways. My daughters have committed to Howard University, Oregon State, and Whittier College. My students have encountered throughout the years challenges meeting with their school counselors. The counselors are only available 1 day a week, before school, after school, nutrition, and lunchtime. All the times my girls work in the student store. There are signs posted in the entrance to the counselor's office listing the availability or lack thereof. In addition, the counselor's workday from 8:30 to 5 p.m., not conducive to students and parents who may need to meet with their counselors before school to avoid missing classroom instruction time. In previous board meeting, it was stated that the master schedule and other adjustments were made so that the counselors could spend the time they need with students. Unfortunately, the schedule hasn't been conducive to meet the needs of my seniors at Millikan High School. My daughters have been applying for scholarships to help with the cost of college. They have been stressed, so have I, and don't understand why they have to wait for days to see their counselor to get scholarship forms signed and other support that was time sensitive. They have missed out on scholarships due to not being able to meet with their counselors to sign their scholarship forms. This has impacted my family financially. In closing, it is my sincere hope that in the future, students will be able to build rapport with their counselors and get the support needed to assist them with school, college, and careers. Currently, that is not happening. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we have Lisa.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Delmar Edmonds, and I'm the parent of a 5th and 2nd grader. In addition, I'm a proud LBUSD graduate myself. Over the past few months, the board has heard directly from many members of the community about the very real and widespread mental health issues that our students are experiencing, which makes it near impossible for our teachers to effectively teach. While I understand the wellness centers for our 6th through 12th graders has been a tremendous support, and I am happy to see that in the LCAP draft that was published on Monday, it is recommended that they continue to be funded. There must be more consideration made for preventative supports for our youngest community members in TK through 5th grade. It is concerning that at no point in the community engagement process by the district's budget, engagement, and alignment team was a focus group convened of those who are the actual trained professionals with social emotional learning, our school counselors. In reviewing the 63-page LCAP draft, I saw that although buzzwords like SEL and mental health are used throughout, there is no clear language to fund and support more school counselors in our schools. I implore the members of the board to ensure that the $126.1 million budget that is scheduled to be approved next month includes funding for more school counselors, as they are uniquely positioned and highly trained professionals who want to provide this for our youth, but are severely limited with the unrealistic student-to-counselor ratios and unmanageable administrative duties they are tasked with. I would also like to take this time to share my family's story that directly relates to the mind-blowing student-to-counselor ratio of 938 students to our 1 school counselor at our K-8 school. Last spring, my then 7-year-old daughter was hospitalized for a total of 4 weeks, missing the last 2 months of her 1st grade year. As you can imagine, there was a great need for her to process the trauma from her experience, for my older daughter to process her own trauma, being separated from her sister and parents for weeks while trying to keep it together in her 4th grade class, and for my youngest to have school support to make the transition back to school as a 2nd grader smooth. Unfortunately, my daughters did not receive school support related to this. In addition, as a preventative treatment for her very rare autoimmune disorder, she has to receive IV infusions every 4 weeks at home, and as such has to miss school those days in addition to any appointments she has with specialists. On January 13th of this year, after my daughter shared with me that she's overheard various staff talking about how often she is absent, out of concern, of course, I requested a 504 plan, which I am sad to share that to this date still has not been solidified for us. All of this being said, I do not fault our school counselor in the least. With the unmanageable caseload of 938 students, it is impossible for them to provide the individualized services that our students clearly need. I am yet another voice echoing the request that the board support a comprehensive school counseling program and to lower the student-to-counselor ratios to the American School Counselor Association's recommendation of 250 to 1. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Kimberly.
My name is Kimberly Mitchell, and I am both a parent of 2 children at Gant Elementary and a school counselor at Washington Elementary and Bellflower Unified. My 5th grade daughter in particular has dealt with a lot of difficult challenges over the past 3.5 years. Her parents divorced right before a global pandemic. She's been the victim of bullying, she was diagnosed with ADHD, and she more recently has been grappling with her own gender identity. She is fortunate to have 2 parents that love and support her through all this, but there are many things that we are not there for that she has to deal with alone every day at school. In the place where she spends 30 hours of her week, she has no one there to help her with coping skills, help her process the impact of her challenges with school, or advocate for her when she's being victimized. The only reason why my daughters know what a school counselor's role is because I am a school counselor and I have discussed it with them. The only thing my daughters have ever mentioned about their school counselor is that she occasionally comes into classes to talk about social emotional learning topics. As my 1st grader put it one day before she knew what my job was, "Mommy, are you the lady that comes and does art with kids in class?" That is her understanding of a school counselor. As a school counselor, I support 20 classrooms a month and present on topics such as bullying, coping skills, growth mindset, self-love, diversity and inclusion, and media balance. I see 5 to 10 students a week for weekly one-to-one counseling sessions. I provide 4 groups a week on topics like grief, family changes, classroom survival skills, and friendship. I have 2 classrooms where I go and conduct weekly restorative circles. I do lunchtime activities with students such as playing board games, coloring, and playing with Play-Doh, which allows me the time I need to build rapport so that they feel comfortable coming to me when they need the support. I'm able to build a positive community by attending ELAC meetings, coffee with counselor meetings, staff development meetings, PBIS team meetings, safety committee meetings, and sending out monthly newsletters to parents with community resources. I am one of 2 full-time counselors at my elementary school site. In addition, there is a social emotional behavior assistant that serves the gen ed population, 3 TOSAs, a full-time school psychologist, a full-time assistant principal that oversees all discipline and state testing, a job often relegated to school counselors, and a fully operating wellness center. My school's profile is very similar to Gant. The response to the counseling program from staff, students, and parents has been overwhelmingly positive. As a result, my principal is requesting a 3rd full-time counselor due to improved attendance, decreased student discipline, and improved test scores. ASCA recommends a 250-to-1 student-to-counselor ratio based on extensive research on school counselors' impact on students' academics, social, emotional, and career development. I am so grateful for the work I'm privileged to provide to students at my school, but I'm troubled that my daughters and students in Gant and elsewhere are denied these supports. The district has over $400 million in a rainy day fund, so let me be clear, the storm is here and our students are drowning.
Thank you. That's all for our public comment. Before we move on to the consent calendar, we're going to take a 5-minute break, so we will reconvene at 7:10. Thank you. So we will move on to the agenda with our consent calendar. And before we get to that, there are a couple of items that I'd like to highlight. So we will start with item 14.9, and I will have Mr. Miller read the resolution. You have that ready?
I do not have it ready. I thought we were doing the teachers first, but give me 1 second.
Dr. Benitez, do you have that? You're ready? Are you ready now?
Now I'm ready.
Okay, so I will have you read that resolution for us.
All right. So this is a resolution of the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District in support of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas May has been designated as National Mental Health Awareness Month in the United States since 1949 by the Mental Health America organization, and whereas in May 11th, 2023 is National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day, which is an annual event concurrent with National Mental Health Awareness Month, and whereas families have deeply affected by the pandemic and children are likely facing increased stress due to changes, fear, and uncertainty caused by illness, isolation, impending homelessness, and job health care loss at rates never seen before. And whereas children and families are dealing with long overdue societal reckoning with police violence against African Americans, a spike in anti-Asian hate crimes, significantly higher than average death rates linked to COVID-19 among Latino communities, and the mistreatment and stigmatization of the LGBTQ community and society. And whereas the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention reports that more than 20% of youth have been diagnosed with mental health disorders in the United States. And whereas the average age of early signs of mental illness is 14 when most students are entering high school. And whereas an estimated 60% of students with emotional, behavioral, and mental health disorders do not graduate from high school according to the U.S. Department of Education. And whereas a number of children ages 6 to 12 who visited Children's Hospital for suicidal thoughts and self-harm has more than doubled since 2016, according to the Children's Hospital Association. And whereas schools that implement comprehensive mental health systems see improved academic performance, fewer special education placements, decreased disciplinary actions, and higher graduation rates. And whereas educators are often the first to notice if students are struggling or behaving differently than usual, for example, withdrawing from normal activities and acting out. Therefore, are well positioned to connect students to school counselors, school psychologists, and school social workers who can further support students by providing mental health services, or connecting students with community services according to the U.S. Surgeon General. And whereas mental health services are available to all students, especially prevention and early intervention services and long-term services provided by the district employed mental health providers, such as school counselors, school psychologists, school social workers. And whereas spreading awareness of the importance of mental health can help people realize the many ways in which mental illness impacts them and those around them, and the opportunity to learn about available services. Whereas the Long Beach Unified School District, through its unique approach to serving children and adolescents, is committed to caring for mental health needs of children, youth, and families in our community. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District hereby proclaims the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. The Long Beach Unified School District stands ready to support.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And as we've heard from a lot of our community members that have come to speak before us, that this is something that we should all be involved with and that we should all care about. Another item that I'd like us to highlight from the consent calendar is 14.10, our Teacher Appreciation Week resolution. So I'm going to have Dr. Benitez read that one for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my great honor to read resolution of the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District. supporting Teacher Appreciation Week. It's not as long as yours, Mr. Miller. Whereas an informed, educated citizenry is the foundation for the success of our democracy, our economy, and America's future. And whereas thousands of dedicated teachers in Long Beach Unified School District inspire, motivate, and mold the minds of our future workforce and leaders. And whereas no other profession touches the lives of so many individuals with such a profound and lasting effect. And whereas the effects of excellent teaching last a lifetime, grow in value through the years, and pay dividends far beyond the classroom in terms of quality of life. And whereas the Long Beach Unified School District continues to be recognized as a leading school system, thanks in large part to our teachers. And whereas our teachers deserve special recognition for persevering in their noble pursuit of educational excellence and equity, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District hereby proclaims May 1st to the 5th as Teacher Appreciation Week and urges everyone to observe this week by taking time to remember, thank, and honor those who devote their lives to giving the lasting gift of a great education.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Okay, so we will take a vote on consent calendar A. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And Madam Secretary, I'll ask you to take a roll call vote.
Yes. Member Benitez?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
And Member Miller?
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is consent calendar B. Mr. Miller?
Yes, I will recuse myself from consent calendar B as I have a potential conflict of interest under Government Code Sections 1090 and 87100. SoCal Gas provides services to the Long Beach Unified School District and has in the last 12 months provided a donation to the nonprofit corporation Ranchos Los Amigos Foundation, of which I am the CEO.
Thank you. I need
Move to approve a consent calendar B.
I need a second.
I'll second.
And Madam Secretary, will you take a roll call vote?
Member Benitez?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 3-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have staff reports. So 16.1, ethnic studies, and here to talk about that would be Dr. Kale. So I'll have Dr. Kale come to the podium and get that conversation started for us. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am joined this evening by a couple of colleagues, Dr. Jay Camarino, who we know is our Assistant Superintendent of High Schools, and Mr. Alan Shepard, our History, Social Science, Ethnic Studies Curriculum Leader. Last year, I think it was about a year ago, Alan came and did a presentation, and he talked about the work in diversifying the history curriculum. He shared our process for adopting new history textbooks, and at that time we were just beginning to learn about the new requirement for ethnic studies, graduation requirement that was coming in from the state. And so we're here tonight, okay, good, I got that. We're here tonight to give you a little update on where we are with that work. I will provide information about the requirements for graduation, and I'll remind you about the current work we've been doing in ethnic studies. Dr. Camarino is going to share with you the two models that we considered and the reasons why we made the selection that we made that we'll be sharing with you tonight. And then Mr. Shepard is going to take you through the implementation timeline so you can kind of see how it's all going to unfold. But before we get to all of that, for those who are listening at home or who this is a new topic to, let's just talk for a minute about what is ethnic studies. So ethnic studies focuses on the struggles, triumphs, contributions, and the enduring creative spirit of America's major racial and ethnic groups from their own perspectives.
And this is not new for us in Long Beach Unified. We've been up to this for quite some time. While ethnic studies are grounded in history, they are interdisciplinary in nature, and they investigate issues of race, class, and gender in America. They examine various forms of privilege, affirm intersectional identities, and uncover the agency and self-determination people of color assert as subjects, not objects, of history. To further define what we mean, the model curriculum developed by CDE's Instructional Quality Commission outlines 4 core people of color groups, and you see them listed there on the slide. So Black or African American studies, Latinx studies, Native American studies, Asian American, and Pacific Islander studies. And the focus on the experience of these 4 groups provides an opportunity for students to learn of the histories, cultures, struggles, and contributions to American society of these historically marginalized peoples, which have been often untold stories in our U.S. history. We use these 4 groups as an umbrella for a myriad of ethnically and culturally diverse peoples. So for example, Arab Americans have sometimes been covered within the study of Asian American and Pacific Islander studies. So on the slide in front of you, these are the LBUSD elective courses that we've been offering over the last several years, 3 years to be exact on the slide there. And students who took or who are taking those courses actually already will have met that graduation requirement. So the course that we already have in the district does meet that graduation requirement. And then just for your own information, we do have students at several of our middle schools who are taking a middle school version of ethnic studies. And then you may recall we did a presentation a couple of board meetings ago around our dual enrollment efforts. So as a reminder, you know we've been partnering with Cal State Long Beach for ethnic studies courses. And these courses are taught on our comprehensive high school campuses on Saturdays or virtually, and they're taught by CSULB instructors. I'd like to give a shout out to Becky Sanchez. She is our ethnic studies coach, and she is one of the original founding instructors in the program, so this is her 7th year teaching in that program. And looking at the average data for the last couple of years, 2 years, we see about 450 students a year make their way through these courses successfully. The Intro to Ethnic Studies course, you notice, has an asterisk listed by it, and that course meets the state graduation requirement, and it also meets the CSU Ethnic Studies requirement. So students who enroll in that course get double the benefit. And then just as a reminder, the courses that I showed you here will, and these courses are going to play an important part in the plan that we're going to be talking to you about tonight. All right, so what is required of us? We are required to provide a designated course that's based on the model curriculum, and this will apply for the graduating class of 2029-30, which I believe is current 6th graders. Is that correct? Did I do that math correctly in my head? Yes? I don't know. Yes, it's 5th grade?
My daughter's a 6th grader. She's 29.
She's 29. So 5th graders. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. We will begin offering the course, though, in the 2025 school year. That's going to give us a little bit of time to plan next year, so we don't have to have this out the door next year, but we can do some more planning. So some of the ways that we can meet the requirement is we can provide an existing ethnic studies course. So for example, the Cal State Long Beach course or the Apex course. In other words, a course that's already developed by an entity that meets the requirements. That's one way we can do it. We can offer an ethnic studies course that's taught as part of a course that has been approved as meeting the UC-CSU A through G requirements, which our elective does. Or we can offer a new locally developed ethnic studies course approved by the governing board of the school district. So what's important to understand is that the course may also offer graduation credit into an existing course. So for example, we can embed ethnic studies into history, social science, or into English language arts, for example. That's another way for us to do that. So we have been working diligently to research a lot of options. So I just want to say that Alan and Becky, Angie, Angie Gonzalez, Carol Ortega, Carrie Wiley have gone out, talked to a lot of districts, work with LACO to just come back with as much information and as many ideas as possible. And then we gathered together and collaborate with our high school office colleagues. So Jay Camarino, Kimberly Johnson, Ed Samuels, we come together, kind of weigh what we found and the impact on students. And now we're at the phase of getting into the design. So that's going to be really managed by Alan and Becky. So they'll focus on the design of the course, lead the selection of the materials, and create the professional development. And then they'll come back here and hopefully have something in the instruction report that says, here's a course we would like for you to approve. So I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Camarino, who's going to tell you about the two models we considered in depth during our collaboration and decision-making process.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Baker. As you recall, our students in high school typically have history and social science courses in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So the models that I'm going to bring before you would only be able to we only fit in two different scenarios, and I'll show you the first one here with the model A, which would be ethnic studies in the 9th grade course. It'd be a standalone course. It'd be a semester course based on the model curriculum that Dr. Kale just shared. Paired with what we know is coming from the state in the future with health that would be coming down for high school, and it would require hiring more additional history teachers in the future, so it would have an impact on our FTE. So that's Model A for 9th grade. In Model B, obviously the only course that it would fit it would be U.S. History, and it'd be an Ethnic Studies U.S. History embedded course. It'd be a year-long course for our 11th graders. It would fulfill the existing graduation requirement, obviously, that we have for having history, social science courses, and incorporation of the major themes and tenets of the ethnic studies model curriculum. And it would require training for all of our 11th grade U.S. history teachers that are presently on staff, but no additional hiring would be needed. So after looking at Model A and Model B, we looked at the pros and cons, or plus and deltas, of having in 9th grade and 11th grade. So we'll start with 9th grade. The pros in 9th grade, obviously, is that it'd be an intro course for future ethnic studies experiences for our students, whether they continue on with another course or the Cal State Long Beach course that we offer on Saturdays. It would provide a place for our health course that'd be coming in the future, and help enact student voice and agency with our freshmen as they come into our high schools. The cons is the course overload. As we shared, remember the last board meeting that Dr. Brown shared of our A through G, it showed that our students would be somewhat on track for A through G, and that huge dip in that graph that he shared with us was 10th grade because of the addition of a history class. That was something that we had to consider, the course overload. So how would that impact now that graph that we shared, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. They would cost additional FTE, and the con is that students' readiness for mature themes and may lack prior knowledge as they come into the classroom. So those are the pros and cons for having it in the 9th grade. The pros and cons of having the embedded course in 11th grade is that obviously our 11th graders would be more mature and ready for that theme and topic to discuss. They would not require any additional FTE. The course meets two requirements, right? It would meet the ethnic studies requirement and the 11th grade history social science requirement, and it would fit in our current master schedule sequences. The cons, obviously, is less time to meet the ethnic studies requirements, and what that means basically, if the student doesn't pass the course, for example, in 11th grade, they only would have a year and a summer to catch up to be either A through G or graduation ready. And lastly, our AP US history teachers we would need an alternative for the students who take AP US history. So it wouldn't be a part of it. AP US history curriculum is provided by the College Board. Oh, sorry. So this is Mr. Shepard. Sorry, I went over. So here's Mr. Shepard. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Camarino. So I get to talk to you about like the decision and where we're moving forward with. And with those considerations that Dr. Camarino was just mentioning, the path forward that we're taking is to put ethnic studies and U.S. history in combination together. So this embedded course. And this allows us to really elevate our local activism. In 1968, students at Poly High School protested and participated in the California-wide walkouts, wanting diverse curriculum and diverse staff. That story's not in our current U.S. history class. We also get to elevate local histories as well, so engaging in our community and having them participate as an asset in the curriculum, as well as our particular unique setting in our community assets like our Khmer heritage and other untold stories that are traditionally left out of the national narrative of U.S. history. We're actually participating in conjunction with the state curriculum model project of developing a Southeast Asian model curriculum, which includes the Khmer population. And then Becky Sanchez in my office is also a participant in the Native American Studies model curriculum. So those are statewide curriculums that are developed, and we can build in a home for these places, that curriculum to be in the classroom. So Dr. Camarino just mentioned about APUSH students, AP US History students. So the curriculum for AP US History is set by the College Board, and so we are not going to be changing or altering that at all. So those students that are currently or in the future going to be taking an APUSH class, we're going to have a path for them to complete the high school ethnic studies graduation requirement. So having that standalone course, as was mentioned by Dr. Camarino, Model A, is a really great opportunity for our students to have that experience of that standalone course. There's also, as Dr. Kale mentioned, we still have a partnership with Cal State Long Beach with our dual enrollment program, where students could fulfill that requirement through that opportunity. And we're having growing opportunities in dual enrollment, hopefully with our City College partners as well. And then my office developing some specific summer opportunities for students that need to complete that requirement, as well as APEX, as was mentioned. All right, so the timeline, as was mentioned earlier, we've been in this work for the last year, and we're excited to start to move into the phase in which we're moving with our teachers and learning and sharing that learning. So we're starting this summer with professional development with our current crop of U.S. history teachers. And then we're going to continue to move forward with course writing next year, redeveloping the courses to fit the path forward that we're taking. And then that's also going to impact some master schedule planning for the following and subsequent years. And then in September 2025 will be that year that we have that final course ready to go and students enrolling, as well as the requirement being enforced and mandated in 2029 and 2030. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Yes. First off, thank you for the presentation. This was great. I just had a quick question. On the very last slide, on the implementation timeline, there was the note, write course with input. What does that look like?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So OCIPD, the office of that I work for, and we have a tradition of bringing teacher voice in when we write curriculum. So bringing partner teachers in when we're writing this course is really important and valuable to us. We were able to also participate in partnering with our parent groups over the curriculum audit, and that experience was really instructive to us as well. So finding out what our parents want is something that we highly value. And for this course in ethnic studies, using the community and as an asset in curriculum is highly valued. And in fact, it's written into the model curriculum.
Do we have any other comments or questions? Dr. Benitez.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. And of course, I love that we're moving forward with our ethnic studies requirement, given that my background is in ethnic studies. So given that we're going with the model where ethnic studies is embedded into our U.S. history courses, and just referencing the requirement that ethnic studies be the primary content through which the subject is taught, I'm wondering if you could speak to you and or Dr. Kale or anyone on the team can speak to what extent we're going to consult our higher ed experts, our partnership with CSUB in the curriculum development, sort of pedagogical frameworks, the professional development. So if you could just kind of speak to how we're going to leverage that partnership with Cal State Long Beach, given that we have this ethnic studies initiative that we've collaborated on.
Yeah, I can add. Yes. So we're actually building a PD plan right now, which includes the writing of the curriculum, and Becky Sanchez and I are connected to our local Cal State Long Beach and the ethnic studies departments that are there, and we know, and they work with us in our partnership with the dual enrollment program, and they are very interested in being partners with us. So we're developing a plan in which we can hopefully work out that expertise, working with our teachers who are also experts in lesson design and delivery.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, we have content experts literally 10 minutes away from us, right? So my second question, I love this idea of building on the existing assets in our communities, right? And working with our communities and co-developing this requirement. I think the only thing I would highlight is, and sort of this is a broader conversation of ethnic studies that's also going on with the higher education ethnic studies requirement. Being just very wary, as I know you will be, to avoid disparate experiences in the AP US History course and the US History courses that ethnic studies is embedded in, and sort of working through, okay, how will the AP US History students experience look in the additional course, amongst those 4 options. I think avoiding where some students are getting, I'm going to be very careful with my wording here, a diluted or watered down version of U.S. history, while other students may be getting a fully, ethnic studies, content-specific lens with which to understand our U.S. history. I think would be the only sort of thing that I would encourage you all to be very cognizant of, given that our AP courses are also counting differently for some of our students, and not everyone will have access to the AP curriculum. So I'm happy, I'm great. It looks like a great plan moving forward. So I'm just looking forward to getting updates and how we're implementing and sort of what are our learnings throughout our process. So great work.
Thank you.
I just need some clarification. So you're proposing making option A and B available?
Yes, that's correct. So both are at most comprehensive school sites where there is a current or a future plan for AP US History to be taught. Students will have to fulfill the high school ethnic studies graduation requirement in some way, so they can also host that Model A, the standalone course, or have the other alternatives offered as options to students, dual enrollment as one of those options. And then also the embedded course within the on-level U.S. history course.
And have the high school teachers, history teachers, been a part of the conversation? And will they be involved in the process, as well as students, and as well as parent input?
Those are great. Going back to what Dr. Benitez was highlighting, right? Bringing in many voices in to contribute. So this summer we're offering training for all U.S. history teachers, and moving forward we're going to offer our plan, if approved, we'll also offer more additional training throughout. And that includes opportunities to reach out to just beyond just teachers, but also our community assets as well for input, not just once, but hopefully multiple times.
Well, thank you very much. If there are no further questions or anything, we'll just thank the team for all the work and for the presentation tonight. And we will now move on to agenda item 16.2, an introduction to the LCAP draft. So I will ask Renee Arcus, who's already at the podium. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just give a moment for our presentation to load. So tonight I am honored to bring back the work of many, many hours and a lot of community involvement to introduce to the board and the community members here tonight and at home the introduction to the draft LCAP. Our agenda tonight includes a review of the board meeting preparation timeline, which we've seen as we move along through the process. A brief overview of the budget overview, where I will direct the board to the portion of our pyramid that hosts the LCAP dollars. My co-presenters tonight, Viva Mogi and James Suarez, will be talking about what is the LCAP, what you can find in the draft LCAP, and very, very important key piece is the opportunity to provide feedback on the LCAP. So here we are, halfway through the process of the board meeting budget timeline. Again, talking about the LCAP and bringing forth the draft LCAP today as we head towards a public hearing and a final proposed budget and LCAP adoption towards the end of June. Our draft has been posted since Monday on the website, and I wanted to be the first to say it is at www.lbschools.net/LCAP. It might be mentioned more tonight. So we've gotten everybody very familiar with our general fund expenditures pyramid, and just wanted to bring it back to the forefront to talk about the $1.2 billion that we have broken down into 5 key areas. It includes the 2 at the bottom, which make up the local control accountability plan. At our last meeting, I was able to talk all about the base and bring information on the very lowest portion of our pyramid. Thank you, Dr. Benitez. And today and throughout this time period, we have been discussing all portions of the pyramid by bringing programs that have really have crossed many of these areas, including the supplemental concentration grant that is within the LCAP, as well as many state and federal programs that kind of integrated with these programs so that we can offer more to our students. The LCAP draft by statute is required to include all the components of the school district budget that falls into the bottom 2 sections of the pyramid displayed here today. This is over $800 million of our $1.2 billion budget, and the draft available online reflects the goals and actions for our 23-24. Our team in the next few slides will spend some time detailing the components and information regarding our draft LCAP and give you a picture into how it is laid out. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Viva to talk a little bit about what is the LCAP.
Good evening. I'm sure you all know here what the LCAP might be, but for the members of the public who are still not familiar with our complex process that we have, the local control and accountability plan officially defines the district goals and priorities. That is the main point of what the LCAP, what you will see in the plan. But in order for the local governing body, which is us, the local district here, the district and the Board of Education, to use the local control funding formula, the 2 bottom ones that are highlighted on the top right, they must put a plan together. This plan allows the district to set their own priorities and goals based on local district's unique needs. The state created this process because every district has its own distinct needs. As you can imagine, we have very different needs to students in LAUSD and our neighboring districts, and so the LCAP was a plan that we had to put together to define our goals and priorities. In addition to defining those goals and priorities, the LCAP also showcases the state and community stakeholders how the plan also builds alignment to the state goals. So in the plan, we do talk about the state goals and how our community input is reflected in our goals and priorities. So then I'm going to, now that we went kind of familiarize ourselves with what the LCAP is, we're gonna today talk to you about what's in the draft LCAP that's posted online. And so the plan is
as you can see, we're just kind of breaking down. This is kind of like the table of contents, what you're seeing in front of you. So these are the different sections when you walk in and when you click and you open up the LCAP. There's going to be a plan summary. The plan summary is simply the executive summary, what you would see in a memo. And so it would broadly talk about all the different sections that you will see in the LCAP. The goals, measures, and actions are the biggest component. That's where we're going to tell you what our goals are for the district, and then each program's in services that we provide and the measures and actions. There is a goal analysis of what we have done from the last year. And then when you actually scroll down into the increased and improved services and the LCAP tables, you may still see some things that we're still working through, so you won't see full numbers. You might not see budgeted items. The reason why for that is that we actually do have to wait for the May revised budget that comes from the governor. And so there will be a revised draft LCAP posted after the May revision is introduced. And so you will definitely see that different components updated in the next couple weeks. And then what I'm going to do is set and kind of walk through what each goals are for the district. And Mr. Suarez will highlight some of the actions that support the goals. So you must be wondering, how many goals do we have? We actually have 5 goals, and it's all broken down, and that's how the LCAP will be. When you walk through when you kind of scroll through the LCAP, you'll see the different goals, and then that's how it's each section, we would call them, are in there. And so the first is the basic services. It's the fundamentals of what you want in a school district, whether you say our teachers or even whatever will keep the lights on in our school district. In goal 2, you'll see services and programs to ensure the schools are supportive places. In goal 3, we will highlight academic progress. This will be the bulk and where you will see the more budgeted items in goal 3. Goal 4 will demonstrate the programs and support readiness for college and career. And finally, goal 5, you'll see programs and services we provide for all students and also students requiring more support to be more actively engaged in learning. And so that's just briefly going through each goal. And what we're going to do is Mr. Suarez is going to come up and actually walk through a little bit more in detail.
Thank you. Good evening. So slide 9 talks about goals, and just a quick thought about goals. They serve as the foundation for the LCAP. And supporting these goals are measures and actions to address them. Each goal in the LCAP has several measures that include data to show success. Each measure includes a baseline data point, 2 years worth of data, and a desired outcome for 23-24. So this slide lists the number of measures for each goal. But the meat and potatoes, the focal point of the LCAP, are the actions. These are budgeted line item descriptions of programs and services that contribute toward goal attainment. As you can see here, there are several programs and services that contribute to each goal, with a total of 29 discrete actions in the LCAP. In the next few slides, we will show some examples of actions that are familiar to you, as we have shared several during previous board presentations. All actions will have a budgeted amount listed in the LCAP. I emphasize the word will, because the draft LCAP does list actions, but do not have a budgeted linked to those programs. And as Viva shared, there's a reason for that. All districts are waiting for the governor's May revise so that we are able to build the LCAP and project the amounts for each of those line items associated with actions. We anticipate by mid-May, we will be able to present a second draft of the LCAP with budgeted items. What I just added to this slide gives context about the amounts from the current year's LCAP for each of those goals. As you can see, goal 3 is the bulk of the LCAP, which contains about 75% of the budgeted actions in this current LCAP. As mentioned during the previous slide, the actions are programs and services that contribute to goal attainment. This slide shows some of the key actions that are currently in the LCAP, as well as in the draft LCAP. The actions shown on this slide are examples of programs and services that have been highlighted to you in previous meetings. As you may recall, at the April board meeting, we presented examples of programs and services in the LCAP that connected community engagement from the past 2 years and alignment to district goals. We called these slides in this presentation, Digging Deeper: Connections Between Community Voice and Budgeted Items. More specifically, at the previous board meeting, Dr. Baker shared details of her Superintendent's Student Advisory Committee, RSVP, which is a part of the LCAP's Action 2.2. Also at the April board meeting, Dr. Angie Gonzalez provided an update about the implementation of Elevation, which is included in LCAP Action 3.7. This slide presents more examples of actions that are included in the draft LCAP. Using tutoring as an example of an LCAP service, you will find it in Goal 3, Action 12. As you review the draft LCAP, and I know you will be doing so, keep in mind that the actions within each goal are the programs and services designed to support district work and student achievement. As a part of the state's LCAP template, there are 3 introductory sections of the LCAP entitled Successes, Needs, and Highlights. These 3 sections of the draft provide local context about the district for the community. In the Successes section, we highlighted the visioning process as it relates to our rethinking about how we engage with the community. The draft LCAP also shares 8 mission-critical initiatives, which is the priority work of LBUSD. With Elevation, iReady, and Pulse surveys, LBUSD is using new platforms to monitor student progress, which is key to informing instructional decisions based on the data that is collected within these new platforms. And finally, the success The success section would not be complete without your leadership as the board to engage in a more student-focused approach, what we're doing right now at these board meetings. In the needs or challenges section, we report the continued trauma that our students and community have experienced as a result of the pandemic. This also connects with the less than expected academic growth of our students, especially our students of color. Lastly, the LCAP draft highlights 5 areas as part of context building for our community. Within many of these actions listed in the draft LCAP, there is reference to equity and how the specific program contributes to equitable services for our unduplicated students. The draft LCAP also provides many mental health supports that the community continues to prioritize as a need. In addition, the draft's LCAP actions will look very similar to the current LCAP actions in that we are planning to continue all key actions from current year's LCAP into next year's LCAP. Let me emphasize that this is the first draft of the 2023-24 LCAP. There will be revisions, especially when the release of the governor's budget comes out. It is also of note that this board has prioritized funding directly to schools so that they are able to decide how to provide interventions to meet the needs of their students. The draft LCAP provides LCFF funds to every school in this district. The last highlight is the Learning Acceleration and Support Plan, or LASP version 2. This resource provides the community with a snapshot of programs and services that encompass the entire budget pyramid, including elements of the LCAP. LASP 2.0 represents the braiding of federal, state, and local funds so that the district is able to use resources efficiently and effectively. With that, I'd like to reintroduce Viva Mogi, who will bring us home by sharing the LCAP webpage located at, you know I had to get this in here, www.lbschools.net/LCAP. And she's going to talk about an opportunity for the community to provide feedback about the draft.
Great, I'm back. We wanted to show the landing page of our website, www.lbschools.net/LCAP. Today, when you go on the website, this is actually what you will see when you input that web page. And if you follow the different links in the blue, the dark blue, and the red, that is the link to how you can access where we're going to receive community input. This year, we decided, just so the public also does know, is that you can also see the previous LCAP presentations and everything else that you would want to know pertaining to LCAP are all in there in the website. And when you actually click on the website, you will go into a thought exchange. A thought exchange is hopefully familiar to you. We have used thought exchange in the previous engagement cycle. This time around, we're going to be asking for two different things. The thought exchange, when you go onto the thought exchange, the first part is asking the community to specifically share their thoughts and questions around the draft LCAP. We will continue to monitor that throughout while we go through our revisions. And following that question, we have opened up a thought exchange to deepen our engagement with our community around the top 3 priorities identified in our last thought exchange. And as you've heard, and also what we've heard during our budget engagement, community engagement, and also in our engagement, we've heard these to continue to be the top 3 priorities and themes that we've heard. So the 3 themes are social emotional well-being, enrichment, and tutoring for academic support. This is allowing us to, as the question says, what specifically can we do to continue to improve your child's experience in these areas, in these 3 areas? The reason why is, as you can, both questions, first of all, can be answered through the thought exchange, or the community can just choose to answer one. The second question is an interactive engagement. In our community, we have engaged with the thought exchange previously, as I mentioned, and also in our in-person visioning and strategic planning process. So we hope that you're all a little bit familiar with it. It's going to be a visual process. Everyone will be able to get an opportunity to share a thought or idea. So in our in-person engagement, you can imagine that being a Post-it. If you recall, so every thought you put on a Post-it. It's similar on the thought exchange. You can put a thought in, and it'll be posted publicly. From there, you can rate and say, "I like that idea," thumbs up or thumbs down. And when you do that, that's kind of what you did with the stickers. You put the dot sticker, say that I really like that or you didn't like that. And so we hope that this is a familiar experience, but virtually. We are trying different modalities when we engage our community. And this process, the thought exchange process, so that we have all the thoughts in one place. When we do the in-person engagement, we'll do a similar activity, but they will have a Chromebook in front of them to do it, and we'll be able to answer questions in person. So if folks really want to come out and ask us and engage with us in person, we're still having our in-person engagement. And for those who may not have the opportunity to come and meet with us in person, the thought exchange is an accessible way for everyone to have that similar experience, to be able to do that virtually. And so both process. First of all, the in-person we will have interpreters, and in the thought exchange, right when you enter it, you can actually select different language of your choice. So both engagement strategies will have an opportunity for in your language of choice. And so we wanted to showcase that, and also share this image that is how it would look when you do go into the thought exchange and you want to click which language you want. It will automatically populate that into the language of your choice. And so, again, all this information can be found on lbschools.net/LCAP. And I am just going to, again, close. We know this process around budget engagement can have so many thoughts, and we have so many opportunities to hear from different communities. We do want to thank our community for our internal and external community who always and continue to show up and also engage in the thought exchange. It really helps our team to be able to be more thoughtful, including how we are asking our questions back to the community. And so we wanted to just spend a minute to thank our community and our educational partners. And thanks for allowing us to present, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Viva. Mr. Miller?
Now, how'd you know I'd have a question? My question is actually fairly simple. In regards to sharing the link to the thought exchange, what is the plan on getting that communicated out to the larger public?
Yeah, so we will have more in kind of our general school messenger to be able to send it out, and we're working with the communications team to send out a general email out, and it will also be in our social media. But one thing we do want to make sure that we are engaged more is that we will be reaching out to the various school sites as well, and similar to last year, have some posters available. So the QR codes was actually an incredible way. We had these posters with QR codes, and so that was a way for us to be able to get, anyone who walked by can give their thoughts through that process. If they don't choose to go through our website, which I would prefer they do, but it's okay, yes.
Thank you.
Did you have anything?
Just curiosity, will our students at the high school level have access to give us feedback?
Yes, we do go through a student engagement when we do go to some of the school sites, and then students really do get motivated. That's what happened last year. We actually had a really great turnout with students to be able to provide us feedback. They then organize themselves to be able to share. They usually have the most, they're the ones that actually, when it came to the enrichment, had a lot of more ideas around that, and that was the highest kind of, from the students' perspective, on top of the mental health services, the enrichment, what they wanted from school around field trips and whatnot really came from the students. And so we hope the same engagement can happen again this year.
And you said the school sites will receive it as well for the educators to give feedback. Would it be possible for us to send it directly to parents for community feedback? So to send them via email and just to inform them that this is out, and we need their feedback?
Yes. So the email method that we use here is School Messenger, so it's the same, yes.
Okay, Dr. Benitez.
Yeah, I have 3 questions. Maybe the first one is more of a Ms. Arcus or Ms. Takahashi question. So, if we don't have an exact number, I understand. With respect to this 801.3 million here that's reflected across our 5 goals, I'm wondering if you have a sense, or if you could provide a sense of what percent of that, given that goal 3 has the biggest sort of piece of that pie, what percent of that is going into, oh, look at Renee on the calculator right now, into personnel-related costs, Ms. Arcus? Is it still that roughly 80% or so?
Yeah, I think for the LCAP in general, it's a lot of personnel. So we do have some technology purchases and some other items like AP testing and some solid contracts in there. But I think it would follow suit in the 70 to 80% range of personnel is in our LCAP.
Yeah. Would it be possible to not highlight, but provide that as part of the context of the goals? I think it's important for our community to understand, what does that mean, right? $608 million. If that means that most of that is personnel related, sort of where does that show up in terms of staff at the wellness center? Just a better, I think it's more illustrative of that, how we break down the $800 million or so.
We absolutely could do that by
Thank
goal.
you. Thank you. So let me move on then to question number 2, and it's around the next 2 months of revisions and the importance of community voice. So I have gone now through, at least as a board member, 5 seasons of LCAP engagement. And we've made a lot of progress in our engagement efforts. And these last 2 months for me are always sort of, I have mixed feelings given that, as you all have shared, the LCAP process isn't just about these last 2 months, right? And then we're also not starting from zero or from scratch every year, right? Especially in this third year. And I'm wondering if you could speak to community members that, for whatever reason, either are not engaging, have not engaged, won't receive the link or won't, engage with the link, in terms of the value that the voice adds. So the question is, in this next 2 months in particular, given that we have these pretty well-defined 5 goals, we have measures in place, we have actions. If community members right now want to think of what's the incentive for me to participate in a process that, by some standards, folks could be like, well, me engaging right now, these things are already sort of defined and determined. How would we account for community voice and community input in this next 2 months? Where would that show up in our LCAP? Where would that show up in our sort of measures or actions? How do we account for that right now? And here I'm speaking to community members that are like, okay, this already kind of seems like it's been decided on. What's the incentive for community to participate right now?
Well, one, we hope always from our perspective that would have the similar value set, but everyone has different priorities in the moment. I would say that we do always establish a community report. So if in the LCAP, we will have that component in the community engagement part of what are the shifts and differences and added different things that we've done and showcase that. And we always have, the last couple of years, have established a community report to showcase that it's not just going to be in the LCAP process, that there's other ways that we are incorporating maybe through other funds. And so the community report is actually geared towards really responding back to the community that isn't about just the LCAP. That's why the budget engagement, we don't want to focus it just specifically on the LCAP. We do engage broadly on programs and services. And so that we can say that not all of them does fit in the LCAP, but where it doesn't, and here where you can see it in your experience in your child's life. I think that's why the question was stated the way that it was, is that it's not about like, how do you want us to improve the LCAP? It's more like, how can we provide the right way to be able to support to improve the experience for your child. And so we hope that the community report is in addition to, can really kind of share that. But I'm not sure if I'm really answering the question specifically, because that's more of another document. And so, Dr.
Yeah,
Baker,
I just would like to add something. If you'll go back to slide 4, part of the purpose of us representing the totality of budgets speaks to what you're asking, Dr. Benitez, and that is that with all of us listening in this moment, all of the data points that come in from the community, it allows us, first and foremost, meet all the requirements of the LCAP. But when we think about the totality of our budget, it also allows us to take that feedback and use it relative to other sources, required or not. So it influenced the second version of our Learning Acceleration and Support Plan. In expansion of some of the services like middle school wellness centers, it has influenced the opportunity for schools to receive expanded learning opportunities grant that is managed out of Brian and team's office. So things that are specifically of enrichment nature, because we have other resources to be able to provide that, we can use those resources and save our LCAP for other priorities. And so by taking this approach, it doesn't all fit into the LCAP, but the continuous opportunity to hear from the community influences decisions that we make, even if it's not in the formal budget cycle in this moment. So there are many things that came out into the fall that we were able to actually implement or enhance because of the community input, not just in the LCAP, but across many of these programs and resources that we use.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. And as you were responding, Ms. Mogi, I maybe could ask the question a different way, and it gets to sort of what you're sharing right now, Dr. Baker. So I have vivid memories as to all of us, like, 50 community members show up and say, hey, this isn't in the LCAP, or we want more of this in the LCAP, or our Cambodian community showed up one year and said, where is the Khmer dual immersion in the LCAP? So you spoke to part of this, Dr. Baker, that things are not done and settled, next month when we vote on this, so this sort of ongoing. But I've also heard you speak and staff speak to the shifting of either priorities or our ability to maneuver as needs arise, priorities arise, and our pivot. So I'm wondering if you could speak to that, Dr. Baker.
So I don't know if this specifically answers what you're asking, but we are in the third year of an LCAP. And so in this moment, as you've heard, many of the items that are in the LCAP will continue into next year. We will begin in the fall a process of developing a new LCAP for next year using the community engagement feedback that came through the visioning perspective that was highly focused on community and students. We will use the board's goals and guardrails that are coming to influence the budget decisions that we have in front of us, as well as our new strategic plan. So this is a work in progress, and it is important to see the budget cycle. There's a formal part of it, and there's a 12-month part of it. We'll receive the May revise. You know that there's a process for first interim, second interim. All of those are taken back to staff, and we can make adjustments, sometimes expanding, sometimes having to retract something that we can no longer do. And so it really is a 12-month process that allows us some flexibility. However, significant changes in the LCAP require that something comes out. And so as our enrollment declines, as our unduplicated count of students has declined, and we fear that the state will make reductions in the coming budget, we have to mind that as well. And so we have periods of time that we can fill in with what are our reserves, but that is not an endless fund of money to keep going.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. So now I know how to sort of frame my third question, and it's actually open to our team, given that in some way what everyone is doing is shaped by these 5 goals and the measures and actions. So again, I'm thinking within the context of having mixed feelings on encouraging folks to participate, but at the end of the day, recognizing that there may be community priorities, community perspectives that won't tangibly be seen right in the LCAP. And let me point to 2 specific examples. We've heard about the important role that counselors play for us. And 3 years ago, as we were at the height of the impact of our global pandemic, we were hearing from our community stakeholders that there was a need for mental health support, social and emotional well-being support for that, and there was a priority around social workers, all right, and a priority around the wellness centers that are now at all of our middle schools, right? And so I think what we're hearing from our folks that are speaking around the importance of counselors, it's aligned with that, but there's a nuance, right, in terms of the roles that counselors play in the context of we have FRCs, wellness centers that are full going, we have more school psychologists. So my nuance here, my third question is around our both recognition that what we may have needed 3 years ago, we still need, but there may be a nuance to that, and then our ability to pivot. And I'm going to now highlight a second comment that I've been consistently hearing around tutoring. 3 years ago, we heard we need tutoring. We need tutoring, especially around our acceleration, our growth. we're hearing something a little bit different now. We're still hearing we need tutoring, right? And for many reasons, and our data and outcomes show the need for interventions and support around student learning and acceleration. But what I've been hearing and receiving in terms of public comment is we need to sort of rethink and reimagine what that tutoring looks like, because that tutoring may not be serving the desired outcome that we had. So if we could sort of walk through that, Dr. Baker, and again, I'd love to hear from the level offices, because we've also learned a lot in the last 2 years, right? Some tutoring may not be working. We didn't have a lot of tutoring out there available that we could contract and bring into the district. So I'm using it as an illustrative example of our ability to pivot, and then also the nuances of a priority that may be seen differently today.
So first, because you use the example of social workers, while it might not be seen by everybody who's thinking about our LCAP, the community input resulted in 56 positions as social workers in our district that serve in wellness centers, they serve in the foster youth unit, they serve in attendance supports, and so we went from having 2 to 56 social workers in the span of 3 years. So just want to note that while we are hearing about the desire for more counseling, that is something that we can contemplate. And I actually took some great notes during the discussion about tutoring, with just a curiosity around community agencies that are partners like Latinos in Action and the Washington Community Association, that they might have some information that we don't have, and it's something that we can also look into, so that we're thinking differently about what tutoring may look like in the future. So, but I'll open up to others that want to just share anything that comes to mind around Dr. Benitez's question.
I think at the elementary level, when I think about tutoring, I actually would put it under a larger umbrella of intervention. Right, so there's a lot of different ways that students will receive the intervention they need if they're not quite meeting standards. And so that can look like a literacy teacher pushing into a student's classroom during the day, providing small group instruction while the classroom teacher is providing instruction. It can look like pull-out services during the day. It can look like Saturday school at some of our sites where teachers are coming in and providing that. And it can look like an after-school tutoring, maybe an hour, 3 days a week. But I think what our schools try to do is look at across all of our students, how do we make sure we're providing the needs to all of our students that need that support? And it's going to look different at different schools, the size of the school. Title I schools get more funding than non-Title I schools. Title I schools have more literacy teachers on site than non-Title I schools. The needs are going to look different at each site. So I think sometimes at the elementary level, just trying to think of it less about tutoring like this thing that happens after school that may or may not be as impactful as a teacher during the day providing that in-the-moment support. It could look like support for students with IEPs that also receive those literacy supports during the day, and not necessarily an after-school tutoring. So I would just group it into this larger idea of thinking about intervention on a broader scale.
I would second what Mr. Moskowitz shared already regarding what occurs throughout the day as embedded intervention. So thinking of specific courses at the middle school level, math development, CCR, that's designed as an intervention as part of a student's schedule. There would also be the differentiation that occurs within core classes. So the small group work that might occur during a math class or during a ELA class. In addition to the after-school tutoring and Saturday school offerings from the school site, I think some of the comments tonight were in relation to some of the outside providers that come into our school site. And that's always a challenge depending on the schedules of those outside providers and how to work with their time frame, their availability, and the courses that we offer. At the middle school level, oftentimes it comes at the expense of another course. So if you're going to tutor, if you don't do it during lunch, for example, you're going to do it during a course time. So some creative solutions to that is really embedding it into the intervention courses that already exist at the school site. So when our schools have contracted out for math support, for example, when that can be integrated into the math development courses, and you're doing essentially one-on-one support during that course time, it's not coming at the expense of something else. So instead of pulling them out of their enrichment elective, pulling them out of their PE class, you can actually embed it into the intervention course, selectively speaking, if all those stars align with the staffing requirements and the course offerings at that particular school site.
I was having an epiphany as we were listening to all the public comment this evening that we really need to be engaged around the idea of what is the need, and then how can that need be supported, and then who. And sometimes we begin with who. And so one of the takeaways that I hold as we really listen to the perspective of community is that we need to be planning for the verb first, not the noun. And when we do that, it leads us towards many varieties of how the need that is actually being called upon can be addressed. So I'm very grateful for all of the input we received tonight, that we continue to receive, and just also the relationships that have taken place that allows conversations to continue.
And I'll end with, as well as we have after school, before school, and Saturday school support for our students, we also have an amazing opportunity at our high schools where most of our schools have leveraged a plethora, tons of students that are getting paid through our system to be tutors at different times of their unscheduled periods, or even pushed in as student aides in many of our classrooms. So our students have many opportunities in that tier one, right, in that class of, if we have some students that need some support in algebra or geometry, that are actually getting paid to be tutors within our high schools. So another amazing opportunity that we've had at our high schools.
I so appreciate the honesty and the candor with which we are speaking to this, and I think in my mind, these are the kinds of conversations that then our community is like, okay, they're listening, right? And it may not show up immediately on a line on a budget, the verb versus the noun here, but if I can just go a little bit further, I won't go long here, Madam Chair. Yeah, well, we're already here, so I might as well make the most of it. And again, this is pivotal, right? $801 million, 5 goals, all these measures and actions. And some students are graduating, some students are promoting and having that difficult journey either to middle school and or high school. And not all parents are going to have, or community members or students are going to be able to engage in the way that we envision and that we're still working toward. So just picking up on how you just sort of this epiphany that you had, Dr. Brown. Can you walk through an example, either you, Dr. Brown, or our level offices, of what resources, right, not a person, differentiates things that can happen throughout the course of a day? I mean, we talked about pushing in, really that's more of a strategic sort of thing because we're working with the same staff, versus when we may need to pull in outside math folks in those scenarios. So just kind of going along with the verb of intervening, right, and supporting that aren't necessarily attached to, what more personnel would we need to be able to accomplish that? Could you kind of walk through what resources and or shifts in strategic thinking would need to happen without getting into whether this happens after school for an hour or on a Saturday or on a weekend or at an hour that's convenient for someone? I really think it's important for our community to hear, hey, if we're sharing that counselors, the way we envision them, would help with that. If we're sharing that tutoring the way we envision it, would help with that. What does that look like in terms of resource thinking? Anyone, and I'm here, my conversations with my colleagues too, because we're all up here listening to these valuable community voices that are coming right at a time where we're talking about budget.
Well, I turned my mic on because I was having a thought as you were speaking, and it was around tutoring. So I think that we have the resources right. I don't always know that we have the service delivery model right, and that's one of the pieces of feedback that we keep getting. And the way I'm using the word right there is, if we are doing a lot of things, but people don't know about the services, or they want the services to be delivered at a different time of day or by a different provider, or they want the option to have a waiver, to take that waiver to a place that we vendor with. Those are pieces of feedback. We heard Ms. Salgado share that this evening. Then possibly we don't have an issue with how we've defined resources, but what we have is a need to continue to plan with community around how we deliver
the service. And tutoring is something we've heard a tremendous amount about as the pandemic began and still. And so that's clearly something that is very important to our community members. And so I think we can really benefit from some direct feedback around how we deliver what we're doing.
So, Dr. Benitez, I know we kid around and we tease, but in all honesty, I appreciate the issues that you raise about community engagement and the connection with the LCAP, because to me, we can't have these conversations without acknowledging the connection between our community and the work that we do. So I appreciate the fact that you are raising these issues, that you are asking these questions, and I also appreciate the fact that we can have this open conversation, that we have the information that's now public in a way where maybe it will encourage people to engage more, because it might spark somebody in thinking, well, my engagement might not show up in a report, but I can see how it's reflected in another way. I can see how they're listening because this change was made. I see that change that's been made, and they'll see the value in that engagement. And I think that's the point of what you're saying, unless I'm wrong, but I think that's the point, is the value in that engagement, and that we need to be participating in a substantial way. And to me, that's what the LCAP is all about.
Well, and I'll make this quick. I just wanted to say that as far as the district tutoring and the vendors that we've been contracting with, so we're in the process right now of really evaluating the effectiveness, looking at participation rates, looking at satisfaction. We're planning on reaching out to families to see specifically around which services they received. And then we're still in the process of looking at additional vendors who have different delivery models. So part of what we're doing is this whole process of, it's learning. It's very iterative. It's this sounds really good. We put out the RFP. They meet all the requirements, and then things don't always work out the way that we hope. And so there will be some changes. So when we'll come back to you all and ask you for your blessing on some of those changes. But just to know that it's a constant process that we're engaged in when we're looking at that tutoring.
And it is time for parents to participate, because if it's not in this, it's not in the next version of the LCAP, there are many other resources that you see on the screen that we are listening for and that can influence investments as well as programming, even outside of the LCAP. So even if it's not something that is immediately seen, it will influence choices that are made and other programming in the district.
I appreciate that, President Craighead, because look, at the end of the day, they're citing data, Dr. C. Brown. They're saying, hey, we have data here that's showing that more than half of our students of color are 2 or more grades below level. How do we make right and do right by whether the tutoring is effective and our interventions are effective or not? So I think the conversation is part of the upholding that we are listening, right? Because there are many conversations I know that are taking place with executive team and references to public comments, but I think it adds value to folks who are like, okay, at least some wheels are turning there. May not look exactly like I want it to look, but just hearing you say, contemplating a different delivery method, I think aligns with what many of our community members are voicing.
I agree. I think that it's clear there's some level of frustration from parents and students alike that we're not getting the results in reading and math, and so what we're doing may not be working. So what they're asking, at least I've heard, is give us vouchers and we can go look for our tutoring. So we do need to look at different ways of doing things. And I do have a question for the in-person sessions, opportunities that will be held. Will it be a discussion versus, this is what we have, walk through, see what we have, and just give us stickies and input? or will you engage in discussion with the community?
So we do provide a similar presentation to help them understand what is in the draft LCAP. They're also familiar with this process as well because we've done this for a couple of years. And then we actually the sticky was the example of what we would have done in person through our visioning, but we're all going to put the data into Thought Exchange. And this is how we did it last year, is that we're going to walk them through and have them actually share their thoughts directly and vote in person with us and tell us in person why they did that, because that's a lot of the input that we receive. So it's not just going to be put them in front of a Chromebook. It's both, and like we're going to have them do both, because one of the most important thing about Thought Exchange and the questions that we're asking this time is to be specific about the 3 themes that have come up from year prior and through our community engagement. And so this is their opportunity to deepen because they have certain experiences that they've had. And so hearing them more in depth is the in-person opportunity. And if the community does not have the time to come in person, the Thought Exchange is also available to be able to do that virtually. And so it's both process, and we hope that that they can really help us come up with the different ideas together. And I think that's the main component. And then the other component is that we now have so much data, all the community input and their voices, and we hope that everyone here can acknowledge that, is that it's turned into really great, rich data. And we have an incredible team at Thought Exchange and incredible partners at Prospect Studios that have consolidated and analyzed all that data and help us set which ones are the priorities, which ideas came up more frequently. And so this helps us be more informed. And so we want our community to also understand why we're using certain platforms and certain methods, because it's turning into real data. Their voice is becoming more amplified through these process.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation. We appreciate the meaningful dialogue that's been taking place, not just with this group, but with the community earlier and ongoing. But I think we'll move on to agenda item 17.2, approval of the tentative agreement between Teachers Association of Long Beach and LBUSD pertaining to K-12 and CDC Head Start.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, did you?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions people might have.
Oh, okay.
This might be the first time that folks know that we're good, right, Steve?
We're good.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be able to settle in April, and it's been a wonderful experience that we've had a good dialogue with our labor partners, and we're excited to ask for you to approve the agreement that we came up with earlier in April.
And congratulations on wrapping up that process, and to you and your team, because we know there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, goes on behind the scenes. Okay, so did we have a motion? Yes. And a second? And a second. Okay. Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 4-0. Agenda item 17.3, approval of memorandum of understandings between the Teachers Association of Long Beach and Long Beach Unified School District.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion there?
So same thing, Steve, we're good, and sort of what are next steps with both item 17.2 and 17.3?
Well, the good news is we're very fortunate that our labor partners, TALB, ratified the contract. It was almost an 80% approval for our K-12, and it was almost 97% approval for our CDC Head Start. And just to kind of call your attention on the MOUs that you're referencing, there are 3 new ones. One of them is working on our transfer process, because we've really been working on trying to match our makeup of our staff to kind of blend with the makeup of our students. So it's something that's going to allow us to do some of that great work. We also are working very collaboratively with our labor partners in trying to find ways to help make our pupil-free days that were agreed upon in the contract more meaningful to them and a collaborative effort in terms of planning that process. So the MOU regarding protocols for extended duty year, that's what that's referencing. And then lastly, as we heard in previous board meetings, we're excited to bring back outdoor ed. So we're able to reach an agreement with our labor partners in regards to outdoor education, including providing them a $250 stipend for attending. And then the other MOUs that you have, we've had those previously, so we pretty much renewed what were already in place, and we're just carrying those forward, moving forward.
Great, thank you. And so we've finished up those negotiations and everything, and so when can the teachers expect their money?
Well, we're very fortunate that we've made Sean Barchi happy, and we've worked well closely with Sean in the payroll department, so we're excited to note that they're going to be able to start distributing checks next week for our teachers and management and non-represented. And then if we're fortunate to have our CSA ratified, that will be brought to you in 2 weeks, and we'll be able to move forward with retro checks for those groups as well.
That seems to be fairly quick. Is that quicker than usual, or?
Our payroll department is very good.
Yes.
Because I do not remember it being.
So May 8th would be the target
May 8th.
date.
I honestly don't remember it being a quick turnaround like that. So that's great news. I'm sure everybody's going to be very happy to hear that.
Teacher appreciation.
No kidding.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, we had the motion and the second.
We're ready to vote.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 4-0. Approval of compensation for management and non-represented employees.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion on that one?
Great work,
Okay.
team.
Yeah. Go team. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That also passes 4-0. So thank you, Mr. Rockabot.
Well, thank you guys as well. Appreciate it.
Agenda item 17.5, approval of resolution 050323-C, member auto absence due to illness.
I move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 4-0. We are now at report of board members. I'm going to mix it up and start with Member Lopez.
Thank you. I attended the Long Beach Council PTA Reflections Art reception. I was very impressed by the pieces produced by students, by the students who recited poems, and by the student who shared his singing talents with us. Kudos to the parents that put this together, because it was just a very, very great event. I also attended the installations for Vision 2035 at Browning High and Bixby Elementary School, and had the opportunity to speak with teachers, counselors, parents, and community members. If you were there, thank you for being there. Thank you for taking the time to provide us with feedback, because your feedback is invaluable. And then on another note, as you may or may not know, I am the very proud product of LBUSD and of the CIC program at Long Beach Poly. And my three daughters, one of which who will be graduating this year, are also product of the program. And before joining the board, I was a parent who saw the choice process change over the years. Now, as a board member, many parents and students have reached out to me to share their stories of how they feel shortchanged by the process, by the choice process. And these students, we heard from one of them tonight, they met the criteria, they weren't guaranteed placement in their school of their choice, and they were ultimately denied acceptance into the program of their choice. So it saddens me to hear these stories, and as a board member, I personally apologize to those students who met criteria and were denied that opportunity. Your hard work must be acknowledged, and we must find ways to ensure that every student who meets criteria for a pathway or magnet program of their choice is given a spot. And that may mean that we may have to expand programs. I'm also hopeful that as we continue to grow AP courses, that as we continue to grow the dual enrollment process, we expand AP courses. I've heard from students and teachers who have shared concerns over the reduction of availability of these courses, and I hear you. We know that AP classes are rigorous and will help students if we continue to expand them. And finally, as I have mentioned before, I'm also the wife of an LBUSD teacher. And we must do better to support our teachers, our counselors, our librarians, our psychologists, our support staff, and our school administrators. We should celebrate you year-round, acknowledge your hard work, and provide you with the support you need to effectively execute your job. More importantly, we must use your feedback to inform our work. Thank you, educators, for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Benitez.
Sure. I will start by thanking our community members and staff that provide public comment to us. And I want to give special props to students who show up and provide public comment, and also folks that are not able to show up that email us their public comment. You heard an honest, good discussion, even at wee hours here, based on what we hear from our community members. And to students, thank you for knowing that your voice is important. So when we talk about raising student voice, we've been seeing examples of that, not just through public comment, through many other spaces that we lift up student voice in. So I wouldn't be here tonight if it were not for public school teachers that made a difference in my life. So I held back my emotion when I was reading our resolution for Teacher Appreciation Week this week. I would just encourage our community members, our students, that those of us that still believes that teachers can change the world, to drop a note, stop by, say thank you. If you can spare a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, I think it's important, as Board Member Lopez shared, that it's been tough, right? And it's not always easy to also hear some of the data on student outcomes without sort of self-reflecting on what is my role in what we're doing or not able to do with students. So it gives all of us an opportunity, not just this week, but this week in particular, to reach out to a teacher that has either made a difference in your own life, your children's lives, friends' lives. We are nationally in a tough spot in terms of public education. Clearly, we don't have the funding that we need to have 1,000 counselors and a 15-to-1 student-to-class ratio in our classrooms, and all the other things that we know students deserve. So I think it would be nice for all of us to, in some way, show our appreciation in whatever way we're comfortable with those individuals that can really change the world, and have many examples, including probably everyone in here, where teachers have made a difference in our lives. So thank you to our teachers.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Cricket. So a couple of things. First, I'm always impressed with community organizations that see an opportunity, or maybe the lack thereof, for folks in their neighborhood and just go forward to assist. And so I got to see some of that firsthand a couple of weeks ago, thanks to Project X. They had the idea of making sure that some of our at Promise students got an opportunity to go to prom and feel just as confident and as beautiful as some of their other counterparts. And so they went out and bought dresses and got fancy makeup appointments. I don't know anything about that, but I'm sure it's expensive and daunting, right? But all things considered, I was just very, very humbled and appreciative to be a part of that, and I wanted to give them a big shout out for their efforts as small activities, and I guess I call it small now in the grand scheme of things, but I can remember being 16 and 17 and remembering how big and important the prom was to me and how much of a confidence builder it was for me. And so to be able to provide kids those opportunities is pretty darn cool. And so I just wanted to thank them for their efforts on that. I also wanted to invite our fathers to participate in a Father's Voice. I know that it recently was announced through a number of messaging boards through the district, and I know that there are future plans to get that message out further to more of our fathers. But all things considered, we have seen, and there's data based around the importance of having a father in the home and how it improves academic performance and reduces incarceration and things of that nature. And so making sure that we not only emphasize but celebrate our fathers for their participation within their child's life in an academic standpoint and a social standpoint is important to me. And I'm very appreciative of the district taking a stance on that and supporting that. So I'm looking forward to seeing more efforts towards a Father's Voice from the district in the future. So thank you all for putting that together. And father figures, yes, for that matter. And then last but not least, this past weekend, we had the Black Student Achievement Symposium over at Jordan High School. This was the second annual, and it was even bigger than the last one. And I can remember having a conversation, a sidebar with Alyssa Taylor Stewart and saying to her, "This is great, but I would love to see it be even bigger next year." And as we continue to grow, and she accepted that challenge and definitely got more representation in the building. There were students in the space this time around, plenty of parents, and it was a humbling space for me because this was my turn to be a dad in this space and to attend the early education classroom and learn of techniques on how I can assist my little girl so I can continue to be the best dad possible. And I hope that a number of community members also looked at this space as an opportunity to grow as parents while also working in parallel with the district. And so as I applaud how great the event was, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a number of community members who worked behind the scenes to make the event happen. Jerlene Tatum, Dr. Kim Tabari, folks working in partnership with Alyssa Taylor Stewart. I mean, there are so many folks to name that were in support of the event. And I was just very appreciative of the outcome and all of their hard work. So I just wanted to send them a big shout out as well. That'll be all my report.
Thank you. I attended the 20th anniversary celebration for Early Childhood Education Committee. There was a special guest and keynote speaker, Consuelo Castillo Kickbush, who addressed the group. She was very fun and inspiring. And I wanted to congratulate Cindy Young because she worked hard to secure a $20,000 donation from Lakeshore Learning. It was a very nice presentation, very fun. It involved balloons and confetti. And that's a huge, big deal. So that'll go to the Committee for Early Childhood Education. I also attended the Long Beach Council PTA Reflections Program, and this year's theme was Show Your Voice. And the National PTA Reflections Program is an arts recognition and achievement program for students, and it's an opportunity for students to express themselves creatively. We had staff members there, Mr. Moskowitz, Dr. Camarino. I looked through the program, and we have one of our retired treasurers. Mr. James Petrie was a music judge, so it was really nice to see him being involved in that. I have a couple of congratulations in order. One is to Dr. Baker. I neglected, you know how I am, I'm forgetful. I neglected to mention at our last board meeting that you were honored by Cal State Long Beach as a distinguished alumna. And it was a beautiful event, and it was, so wonderful. You make us all proud. You're such a wonderful reflection on the district. And then also congratulations to Doris Robinson, her title is the Executive Director for the CSULB LBUSD Math Collaborative. And she was honored by CSULB, the Black Alumni Scholarship Group. Mr. Miller, you neglected to mention that, but that's okay because I got you. So Doris Robinson, so much more than the Math Collaborative. She's like a fairy godmother. She personifies our warm and demanding. She loves her students and expects them to work for what they will be earning in their future. Anyhow, it's just so nice to have such wonderful people, and I'm so thankful that our people are acknowledged outside of our group. And this is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank our teachers for the incredible job that they do. Our students are at the center of everything that we do, and our teachers are the one that are in the most direct contact with our students and have the greatest impact on their success. So thank you to our teachers for putting so much heart into what they do. And then also, just to kind of piggyback on your idea, I think it's so meaningful if you stop by, say hi to a teacher, write a little note to acknowledge their effort. I know a lot of times I forget to do that. As we're talking about different things and the work that we do, we neglect to acknowledge the teachers and the role they play in everything. So it's very nice for us to take a moment to give them their flowers. And also, and this was brought up, Ms. Lopez, that it's not just 1 week. We need to do this on a more regular basis, so I hope that we can remember to do that. Dr. Baker.
I'll just build on that. Also want to echo the sentiments of teacher appreciation from all of us in the district and on behalf of the district. We're so grateful for the work of our teachers. In the next couple of weeks, our teachers, we have things that we're sending out to celebrate them. One of those is an Office Depot card that they can use for purchasing materials in their classroom. So just want to get the word out that those are coming. They won't arrive this week because we need to be careful about their distribution, but they will get out to schools. And it's just, I have loved seeing how students are celebrating their teachers. I had a number of conversations with students on Saturday, actually, and they were telling stories about the impact of students on them. And I encourage them, if you have not spoken to them, find them on email, find them on social media, or stop by their school and tell them what a difference that you've made, because we know that's why we go into education, to make a difference for students. And then just to, I won't repeat anything, but just to thank the NAACP for hosting this year's 23rd Law Day. So while you all were at Reflections, I was at NAACP Law Day with about 50 of our students. Mr. Suarez organized students from across the district, some of whom were interested in law, some of whom were just interested in the experience. And to hear them interact with all kinds of attorneys and judges, ask questions and learn from them was really an inspirational evening. So thank you to the NAACP for that. Also just want to shout out to the CAC, Dr. Simon's team, and the CAC, who held a resource fair at Buffum on Saturday. So there were many things going on. We had students at Camp Oaks with Mr. Moskowitz and team. We had a resource fair at Buffum. There were hundreds of community members and parents that were there to seek resources, to be in community, and to receive other aspects of support for their students and their families. And then lastly, we've had visitors this week from both Denver and Spring ISD, here to study central office leadership, instructional improvement, leadership development, and other systems of improvement. And they got a really nice chance to be out at the Teacher Resource Center, to go to schools, early childhood centers, and to interact with a number of our leaders and teachers around the work that goes on in Long Beach Unified. So proud to share, and there's always a takeaway and learning for us when we host visitors. Lastly, an announcement. Tomorrow evening, there will be a Reimagining School Safety conversation from 6 to 8 at Browning High School. So Thursday, 6 to 8 at Browning High School, if you're interested in the topic of being in conversation with community leaders and Californians for Justice and district staff, please come to Browning High School tomorrow evening starting at 6 o'clock. I understand there will be food and child watch. So if you need either of or both of those two things, that will be there for you. So happy Teacher Appreciation Week to everyone who gets this message. We are thinking of you and so grateful for all that you do in our schools. And that's my report.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for staying with us. Another marathon meeting. That concludes the business for tonight. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is May 17th. This meeting is adjourned.